Hi guys, it's Kim.
And I'm Lola, and welcome back to Turn the Page, the podcast where two sisters catch up over books, reviews, and all the juicy bits in between.
What's the plan for today?
Okay, guys, it's the final one of a three-parter.
Whoop, whoop.
So today we will have, for the final part of The Will of the Many, we will have intro, pick and mix, recap, part three of because the book was split into three parts, remember? So we'll be going over the third part, and then long read receipts. So that will end us all off today.
Perfect. And like Lola says, we are talking about The Will of the Many by James Islington. If you're a first-time listener, please note you don't have to read the book or even be a reader to enjoy our catch-ups. You can just enjoy the ride. But this is part C, or the third part of a three-part episode. So you would probably make sense for you to listen to the first two before you listen to this. So go back and listen to those if you're a first-time listener. So a reminder about how to find us.
You can find us on YouTube at turn.third.page.podcast, and there should be a link in the episode so you can find us.
And remember, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram at turnthepage.pod. And like Lola says, we are now on YouTube. So make sure you follow us on all platforms because it's usually something different on all platforms.
Pick a mix time. What's the number?
What's the number?
3.
Okay. One and done versus repeat. Do you reread books? Have you
Yeah.
reread a book and hated it the second time when
Yeah.
you loved it before? Oh,
Yeah.
that's an interesting one. Tell me about that.
And I was
I
sitting
don't
there,
reread books.
I was sitting there screwing up my face like, what?
How long was the
But
gap between reading it originally and rereading
like
it?
12 years. And that was the
Ah,
problem.
you're a
That was the
different
problem.
person. You're a
So,
different person.
and I left the rating as is.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I would reread my 5 stars. That's the
Okay,
ones.
that makes sense. So, like
For
Piranesi,
sure,
would you reread that?
100%. I will
Mm.
reread my 5 stars, 100%.
Hmm.
My free to get into a 4 star, you need to be able to be reread, but it's more than likely I wouldn't. Um,
Hmm.
but to get into that above 3, you need to be able for me to. That's the category to get into that. That's the criteria to get into that category.
So,
So
can I
I
just stop you there? If you had a DNF book or a did not finish book that you maybe read 10 years ago, would you give it another chance?
no, why would I?
Okay.
Unless someone told me to, because case in point. So one of my friends was getting into reading, and she went through my 5 stars on Goodreads, and she read a few of them, and then she was
Oh, I
like,
might
"Nah."
need to do that.
She's like, "Nah, go read this book, please. I'm pretty sure you don't think that's a 5 star." And I was
She's
like,
like,
"What?"
was that a mistake?
Because I remembered the book as well. I remember the
Mm.
book. I remember everything about the book. So I was like, "What?" And then she said, "No, go and read that book. Go and read that
Mm.
book." And so this was in a period when I was discovering Murakami, who's one of my favorite authors,
Hmm.
and like trippy out books, and also short stories, like just getting into like different kind of books I wouldn't normally read. So
Hmm.
at the time, I think for what it was, that how it like how someone could even put those kind of I'm not even gonna say what the book is,
Oh
but how
gosh.
someone could put the words on the page. It's not like I will say I can't even remember, but I just know it was a Miranda July collection book, and the cover's pink. But I remember the book, and the book stayed in my mind for years. But when I actually read it, I said, I don't remember this book being this wild. Like it
Mm.
is, it's wild, and it just takes you on a wild trip. So that's why even Kizzy was like, one of my friends was like, well, rah, like, I wouldn't think this would be a book that she wouldn't. It wouldn't be a book that you would think I would like. Let alone rate five
Interesting.
stars. But even when I was reading it back, I was like, why did I rate this 5 stars?
So I know you say you left the rating as is, but if you were going to change it, what would you rate it now? Now that you've reread it?
Free, free.
Wow. Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, because some of it was a bit. Maybe I was a little bit more. We're a lot more PC
But
now
you
as
were in a
well.
good mood.
We're a lot more PC now, so I think that's also even because even I'm a lot more PC. But some of the stuff
Mm.
back in the day that we used to watch and get
And
away
read,
with, we
yeah.
definitely couldn't do in this day and age. So I think
So
the
did you
tone of
find yourself
things,
just being like, oof,
yeah, a
like,
little bit like, oh,
yeah.
how is this able to be printed?
Mm. Wow.
Like, so
And
yeah, and
that somebody saw that you read it, gave it 5 stars, and then read it, and they were just like, "How
it's
does
like,
she like this?"
she
Like,
because she kept saying this for like weeks. Like, please reread it. I can't believe you gave this 5 stars. And I was like, oh, it was a weird book. I remember that, but I was into
mm,
weird books at that time. She's like, no, no, no,
mm,
reread this. And
mm.
when I did, I was like, okay, I can see why you were concerned.
Did it? Like, is my friend okay?
So
Is she
yeah,
okay?
it was that time. Like
Mm,
I'm trying to remember what Ali G, all of those shock factor
mm,
kind of things. It was like a raggo time, a wild time.
mm.
Little Britain, if you were not from
Yeah,
the
like
UK,
people
I
are
don't think
bringing that
you
up now. Yeah, they're bringing up Little
understand.
Britain and you know that series Fly With Me where it's they're in it as well, and they're just like, nah, this is terrible. This is
Mm.
actually
And
terrible,
I
and I'm just
love Little
like, it was
Britain.
a different
I would look
time.
forward to new seasons. It was hilarious.
It's a
That's
different time, boy.
one of my humors. So I
Mm,
love Borat, all that kind of stuff. So, Trailer Park Boys, all of that.
different time, boy. But
Yeah.
no,
So
that's
yeah,
so
exactly.
interesting. But you're right because there are some books that obviously I'm not an avid reader, and that's probably why I won't reread. Because I remember you were looking through some of my readings, you're like, oh, they're like you read this book, you read that book, and I was just like, yeah. And I really liked, and I'm one of these people that if I've read one book by an author, I would read all of the books by the author, and that kind of
Yeah, me
taints
too.
my views on the rest of the books. So, and some of the books, I'm just like,
Oh,
I can't change. I looked back at the ratings now and I'm just like, oh, that doesn't deserve that high of a rating. But like you said, I don't feel right to go back and change it unless I reread it. So I've just left it as is, but I don't
I wouldn't even
reread
change it
books.
even if I reread it because at that time, for me, at that moment, that's why I like that Goodreads has the date that you read it.
That you read
So
it.
you could, yeah, at that time it meant
Mm,
something to me because I even
yeah, it was a
remember
different
that
time.
book in my head for years. I remember that book in my head for years after I read it, but for some reason, the
Mm,
nitty-gritty
that's
must have.
your friend was just like rotted. Okay, this my friend is crazy. But yeah, so you've got Lola that will reread anything 3 stars and over. Kim, that's just like one and done, boy. I'm not rereading it because usually it takes me a long
You
time to read
you
the
pick up
book.
such good things when you reread a book, like rewatching a movie. Like
True.
I rewatch Golden Girls, and like if I really like something, I rewatch that annually. Like,
And to be
so
fair, after our discussions about stuff, because I think that's one good thing about the pod, because I will read a book and you will read a book and we both come to have a conversation about it and you'll say something and I'm just like, what? I didn't even clock that was going on in the background. So sometimes I do
yeah,
want to reread the book
you get
because of
different.
that, so that I've
Yeah,
got different eyes on the book. So that's one reason why I really want to reread Piranesi because I'm like, because you remember, guys, I was confusion and Lola had to break stuff down to me. So, like, I would like to read it back knowing that I now understand the concept of the book. So yeah, because like maybe this book that we're reading, The Will of the Many, because like, you know, like Lola said some things which makes me think, oh, maybe I missed this bit. Like Lola keep talks about Hero, and I'm like, I forgot that he even existed. So maybe I do need to read this book back. But
he's not as
also,
big of a deal.
no, but also I probably do want to read it back because I do think sometimes with audiobooks, because I did listen to a big chunk of this book in comparison to reading it. So I do find sometimes you do miss certain parts of an audiobook if you're doing something else whilst listening to it. Because I was like playing games or something whilst I was listening to it. So I probably missed some bits that I'm like, "Oh, that's actually important." And that's probably why I wasn't able to visualize certain places because I was probably playing a game at the same time. But but yes, I probably would reread Will of the Many because of that aspect. But yes, guys. So, what are you guys like? What was actually the one and done versus repeat? Are you a person that rereads books? Are you a one and doneer? Have you reread a book and hated it the second time when you loved it before? I think that was a good point. I was like, oh, when you said yes, I was like, oh, interesting. Tell us more. So, if you have, guys, do let us know. Put something in the comments. Like let us know how you're feeling about it. On Instagram, I will try to put some of these posts out there so you can even comment on Instagram about these things. Alrighty, moving on swiftly to the recap. We are on our way to Seuss. So Viz is on his way back to his hometown. He's developed his friendship with Aiden and Calidus. He's got this little thing going on with Amisa. Ika's she tried to kill him in the hope of getting some answers.
She didn't try to kill him. She tried to make him show his strength.
But yeah, it's her search for answers. Okisco's ramping up the pressure.
Sorry, also bear in mind, everyone's scared of him because they just saw him nearly murder that boy. So that's also what motivated her to do that.
To use these other people. Yeah, true. We've got Reliquia / Sedocia, who's also ramping up the pressure. And now we are ending up in Seuss in part 3. So again, if you haven't heard the first 2 parts, which are in episode 7A and 7B, please go back and listen to that, or else this won't make any sense. Alrighty. Plot point, on to Seuss. Viz is traveling with Indo, Belly, and Amisa. These guys are all part of Class 3. And this is an awkward / stressful journey because, you know, he is heading back to his family home, aka the former palace, because that's where Indo's family have moved into. So his dad has taken over the palace, which is Viz's home. So understandably, this is there's a lot of tumultuous emotions that are going on for him. When he gets there, he sees his dad's former advisor, Fadrike, who is working for Indol's dad, Keyskill. And he's just like, sorry? What are you doing there? So he's shocked, he's angry because he's thinking like, you betrayed us, like why are you working for the Catenans? He doesn't seem to recognize him. Fadrike doesn't seem to recognize him. So that was another thing. He's also a bit scared that if he does recognize him, he's going to tell Keyskill who Viz is. He doesn't seem to, which seems to help Viz, but he's also really pissed off at the situation. They get to choose their rooms that they're going to stay in, and Viz chooses a room that he knew when he was a child led to a secret passageway. So he goes to stay in that room because of what he's planning to do later. So at the official dinner, Keyskill turns up for the meeting because this is Keyskill, aka Indol's family, are part of the military pyramid, and this is a military meeting. So Keyskill turns up for the meeting, and Viz is basically paraded around because A, he's Keyskill's adopted son, B, he's a Catenicus. Like, he's done quite a lot in a short space of time. So everybody's wanting to know more about him. So he's basically being paraded around, and also he did that whole thing at the Naumachia, and he saved a whole bunch of people. So he's being asked questions and people are prodding and poking him to find out more about him. So Misa comes up, does the thing and rescues him, basically takes him away, and he's thankful that she saved him from all the questions. And we do some flirting in a corner of the room. And this does not pass by Keyskill's eyes because he's just like, Viz is not supposed to be having any fun. He's supposed to die for the cause.
No, he's like, no, what's that girl? He knew.
Bloody Keyskill. So later on, that's one thing. So later on, when Keyskill's with Viz, he does actually warn him about Amisa, because he's like, it's almost, because you know how Lola said about the Amisa giving him water ages ago, and I think part 1, when he turned up at the academy, he warns him again to be like, remember, she was the one that gave you that water that made you start spilling tea. So that's something to bear in mind. And he does say, he's just like, I know. But he also, like Lola says, he does want friends. He wants companionship. And Amisa is supposedly a really pretty girl.
He wants more than friendship with her.
Let me have some fun. At night, Viz opens up the secret passage and he has a little bit of a gander just to check it's as he remembered, because, you know, he's planning to use this passageway to listen in on the meeting between the military men. He goes through, he has a look, and he figures out, this is how it's always been. It's not changed. It doesn't seem like the Catenans know that it exists.
They knew about the tunnels and everything, so he was still like, okay, someone could be patrolling these things, but they will get lost. They don't know them like he knows them, and stuff like that. So he was careful back there because they did change everything about his home. They'd made it, they catanized it basically, which made it harder for him because he was expecting to come home and see his home as he left it. and that kind of shocked him as well.
Mm,
And also the fact that he was expecting everyone to just smell him and know he was there,
mm.
and that didn't happen. So that kind of made him feel like raw. He let his people down that much they forgot he even existed, kind of thing. Meanwhile, they just thought he was dead. That's why they're not looking for him.
Mm. So his plan is to figure out a way to be kept in his room so that he can go into the passageway when the meeting is happening later, which when we get to it, he's able to do. So the next day they're hanging at the beach. So it's Viz, Amisa, Indor, and Belly hanging out at the beach. And Amisa says she plans to head back to the beach at night for a swim. Wink, wink. But Viz is still going through it. He's trying to figure out what his plans are. He's also, like Lola said, really upset about being back and, how he's feeling about the situation. So he's just like, look, I'm not coming. Like he kind of is in a bit of a downer. Fadrike comes over and he says that, let's take you on a tour around town. And he ends up taking them to a local tavern. And when he gets there, they get kicked out and they start calling Fadrike a traitor because these are the people of Seuss. And they're just like, no, you can't come here. You're now working for the Catenans. We don't want to serve the Catenan people either. So this kind of gives Viz a bit of like that's great to see that there are still people fighting the good fight that are resistant to the Catenans, that are not just going in line and they've not forgotten my dad. That does give him a bit of, it does lift his spirits a bit. So after dinner, Indor reminds Viz that Amisa had gone swimming in the lagoon, which this stresses Viz out because remember, he knows this place. So he's aware that that lagoon has a deadly reptile, which could be dangerous. Like, Indor's like mid talking and he just rushes over to save her. Luckily, he does get to her. She is like struggling. She nearly does die, but he gets to her and he saves her, gets her out of the water, and they camp in a cave overnight. This reminded me, I can't remember what book, where they're just, to be fair, a lot of books, the
Yeah, this happens
protagonists
every
always end
time.
up in a cave, always in a cave. So, so they end up in a cave overnight and, they're getting a bit closer. Amisa sees Viz's scars on his back and opens up about Indol not wanting to follow military. So remember, Keyskill, which is Indol's dad, is part of military, and usually what would happen is you should follow your family line. So Viz, who is been adopted by Orkiscore, is expected to be part of military, the military pyramid. So Indol is supposed to be as well. Basically, to get Viz to open up about what he's been through, she kind of says a secret saying that Indol, which is interesting because she doesn't say share her secret, she shares somebody else's secret, that Indol wasn't wanting to follow the military when he graduates. Instead, he wants to go into, I believe it was religion. Remember this because I'm like, when I was doing the recap for this, I was just like, hmm. After all of this, they end up sharing their first kiss, and we're getting closer. And then the next morning, they get back to the palace, and everyone is praising Viz for saving Amisa, apart from somebody, Uncle Okisco. So Viz collapses from exhaustion. He wakes up in his room with Lannister and Okisco being there, basically watching over him, playing the concerned parent. And now they have a moment to catch up with Viz, who gives Okisco information about the labyrinth, thinking, yes, like I found that info that you wanted. Like, this is great. Like, do you see? There's these labyrinths, there's these ruins. I've done what I need to do. But no, this is when Okisco again loses his shit about it. He demands that you're going to go through the labyrinth, you're going to get to the end of the labyrinth, and if you don't, I'm sending you to the sapper. And even Viz is just like, what the hell? I've done everything you've asked of me. Do you not understand that the labyrinth is dangerous? Because if you remember, the first time he went to the second time, sorry, he went to the ruins, the labyrinth that he went to, there was like this mystery man that popped out of nowhere and was just like, do you want me to demonstrate the labyrinth for you? And so when he goes to demonstrate the labyrinth, my guy just gets slaughtered. So Viz is just like, I'm supposed to do this? Like, like this is no joke. Like Lannister doesn't have eyes since she did this thing. It is stressing him out. Lannister does agree that because Okisco's going off on one, and then Lannister actually interjects and says like she agrees that Viz has done what Okisco asked him to do, but Okisco ignores her and they leave. And when she's leaving, she's kind of looking back at him saying, "Viz, don't die." And I was just like, "Thanks for the consolation." And again, what do we say, guy? Poor Viz. So considering the fact that Viz was soaked through the night before saving Amisa, he was able to he collapsed with exhaustion. He's been able to get away with pretending that he's quite ill. And he uses this time in seclusion to sneak into the passageway so that he can listen into the secret meeting between Keyskill and a select group of people. By the way, after that meeting where Keyskill basically told Viz to die for the cause, Lannister and Keyskill left, which I thought was interesting because I was like, I guess you were here for a meeting, but maybe they did have a meeting and this is
No,
a
no, no.
secret meeting.
Remember? Yeah, yeah. So the reason why he's listening is for Reliquia. So
Yeah,
Reliquia
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, you're gonna go to this thing. I've made sure that you're on this island because Orkisco can get you there because he's going to a meeting, but he doesn't know that after they leave, the real meeting's happening. So you need
Mm,
to trick him into taking you with him, or like, because obviously he's going via that group. But he
mm.
had to tell because even Orkisco was like, "Why do you want to come?" Because when he was like, "Oh, I'm going to Seuss," with that thing. He was like, okay, it's fine. But Okisco was a little bit like, okay. But then, yeah, so it wasn't a meeting that Okisco was even aware of.
Yeah, so they're having this secret meeting between Keysko and a select group of people and part of military. So whilst Viz is in the sneaking around looking at what's happening or listening to what was happening, Viz was able to find out that the military are actually keeping an eye on senators and other wealthy families for being conspirators. Conspirators of what? I don't know. Maybe conspirators against the military. I think that's probably what they were trying to say. And he starts to document things because Reliquia gave him a pen and
Yeah.
like a mystery pen and paper that basically goes back to Reliquia so she can see everything that he's writing. So he starts to document some things that he hears, but he doesn't document everything. So some things like the name of the families, he just makes sure he remembers them, but he doesn't actually document them.
He redacts it enough that it's clear that he's not redacting. So he's trying
Yeah,
to be smart about
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
but he
Yeah.
does withhold some information.
So it appears that the military helped the Anguis plan the Namkia, though they didn't know about the weapon Esteban used. So you can see that there's something going on in the background, like Viz's dad had said, that the Catalans will start to fight amongst themselves, and you can see that this is happening.
Remember when I said at the Namakia, there was bombs going on. So they were aware of the bombs that were going on the outside, but they weren't aware of Esteban's thing. So now they're like, okay, we need that kind of weapon, number one.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, the reason why that they were clued in. So when he followed Reliquia, the
mm,
two voices that he heard, he was like, there's something strange about those two voices. But he couldn't put it together. So when he got there, he's like, oh my gosh, they're in cahoots. The reason why is military needs a reason for you to need the army. So
mm,
it's that same conspiracy theory about 9/11, like they let it happen so that we could start a war. So the
mm,
military are letting these rebel armies cause devastation
mm. To incite fear.
because the Namakio was full of all the noble, wealthy people. You could
Mm,
only get there. A lot of the Octavies and stuff have never been because they're too poor, and it's an event for the rich and upper wealthy class. So if you think of Hunger Games, like they needed to get inside the districts to make them feel the same fear that everyone else was feeling. So military allows that to happen, but everyone's thinking that the Angrius are so strong in number that they're able to do this. But when he was eavesdropping, he could tell that something was off, and this put two and two together. So he's starting
mm.
to realize that this is way too chaotic than even Okisco realizes.
So the meeting ends. Viz heads back to his room where Fabricate is waiting for him. So Viz is shook because he's just like, "Why is this man here? He's a traitor. He's gonna tell Keyskill that I'm out of my room, like doing. I wasn't in my room." So he's a bit concerned. And then we clock that Fabricate knows who Viz is and is really pleased to see him. So they have a bit of a moment where he explains what happened when the whole thing with Keyskill and everybody came, the Catenans came to Seuss, and he's also explaining that he's working with the Catenans in a way to, I think it's also kind of like to help Seuss or something, is like a mediator. Well, I can't really explain how he did. I don't know if you picked up on his rationale behind why he was there. Was it to save his family? What was his rationale for being there?
Initially, the irony Viz was like, how can you do this? How can you? But it's that same way that Viz ran away. It was like, what
Mm,
was he supposed to do? And
mm,
the reason why when he went to that tavern and he could see people that were openly against the Republic and were able to be like, get the hell out of this tavern, is because Fadrike has stayed in power and he's let his people be his people. If he had
Mm,
number one, either fought against them or done something, they would have killed him and he would have ended up dead just like the others, and then they would have been oppressed. But they're allowed to
mm.
be free and just kind of do their own thing,
Because
kind
he's
of. They're not
mm,
like Jatiri, but they're kind of free, obviously, because they still have to seize. But so that was his thing. He was like, this was the best I can do, and I could still keep all your stuff for you. I can still honor you. I knew you weren't dead. I had hope that you were alive. I was just waiting for you to come back and take your claim, kind of thing.
mm,
But he's still thinking, he doesn't disregard that yet. To some level, it looks bad, but this was
Yeah, he does
the
say.
best in a forced hands.
Yeah, perfect. That was a perfect way to explain it. Like Lola said, the fact that he's waiting for Viz to come back, he also wonders if Viz was preparing revenge against the people who led the assault against Seuss. And he's even like, at one point, he's just like, I'm happy to kill the senator that actually killed your dad because he's actually here. Viz is like, no, 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 I don't need you to do that. And he also thanks Fadrike for everything he's done to keep the people of Seuss safe. Fadrike shows Viz a storeroom where he has been keeping his childhood stuff, which makes Viz really emotional because at least to see the stuff like his mum's stuff, I think like his mum's bow and arrow. He sees some of the stuff from like when he was a child, his sister's things. And Fadrike also admits that he took the kids to the tavern to show the people of Sus that Viz was still alive. And so that Viz can see that there are people that are still resisting. So it was a two-way thing of like, don't worry, Viz, we got you. We got you here.
Which I thought was nice, because I was
Yeah.
thinking,
Mm,
rah, so time just moved on. They just all forgot him, and it's like, no, they're like, okay, just give us the
mm.
words. We're on standby.
We're ready to go. Yeah, yeah. So we also get a bit where Viz is asking Fadrike's opinion on his relationship with Amisa. And I think it's probably because considering everything he's just told him about the fact that we will wait for you to come back and all this other stuff, he's probably just like, am I being a traitor too? Am I betraying it by be like liking somebody that is a Katenan? And Fadrike is basically like, look, the Katenans are the world we live in at the moment, and we can't see all of them as our enemies. So he's just like, don't stress about it, and just know that your dad would be proud. And you know, he's just like, okay, would your dad be proud? How do we know? But you know, I guess this is a good moment. Let's not just leave him feeling down about it. The next day, Viz heads back to the beach with the others, and Indo, he's just chilling, minding his own business, watching Misa and Belly doing whatever in the water. And Indo just pops over, sits down, and he's just like, bro, how long has it been since you were here? And Viz is like, sorry? So what did you say? He's like, how long has it been since you were here? Don't lie to me. I know you know this place. You've been here. This is your place. Seuss is your place. So Viz is like trying to deny it, like, nah, I've just visited. But Indel's not having it. He's just like, I know it's true that you've lived here. I just want to know why you're lying. Um, and he's just like, the way you rushed off to the lagoon, how would you have known that the lagoon was a problem? Like none of us knew that the lagoon was a problem. And like he's probably thinking that this is my house now in quotation marks. It was quite obvious, and even saying like the way you were acting since we got to Seuss, like the way that you, I don't think he talks about the bedroom. Does he talk about how he knew what room to go to?
No, I think he
No.
talks about he picked up on something else though. You're right.
Or something he picked up on. But anyways, he knows that Viz knows more about Seuss than he said, because he had told people that he'd just come to visit with his dad before. Viz then explains in a way that, you know, yes, I'm from Seuss. I was just ashamed to make it known that I was from here. Like, you see the way we were treated in the tavern and stuff like that. Like, I don't want it to be a big thing. Indo seems to take the answer. He's more of the case of, I knew I was right. That's, I think, the case is that he's like, yep, I'm right. I'm happy with that. And Viz is happy that he's happy with that. He still doesn't know that Viz was royalty, so Viz is still able to keep that a secret. Indo says to him, look, I can keep a secret. And Viz responds, so can I. Indo groans about this, and we just move on, which is interesting because of what happens at the end. So bearing in mind that Amisa had told Viz when they were in the cave that Indo wants to switch to religion. So that's the
Like
secret.
her.
Viz is trying
Yes.
to, yeah.
As well, like her. She also
Yeah, I
wants to
forgot that.
switch to
She wants to
religion.
switch. Viz and yeah, so After that, everything seems to be going okay whilst they're in Seuss. Viz and Amisa are basically together. Then we head back to the academy where Viz is like, look, I need to crack on because there are only 3 months left to the Eutychium and he needs to get to class three because only people in class three can be part of the Eutychium. So when they get back, Viz notices that Calidus and Iden have become friends since he's been away, which is great. Yay! Now he has a little group of friends. And Viz has been helping Iden. Oh, that's something to say. I think I've missed this out before. So Viz has actually been helping Iden learn the Katenan language, whilst Iden has been helping him train in the evenings. But now that Viz has a little girlfriend, he was wondering if he could help Iden in the morning so that he can go to, practice with Amisa in the evenings, have some alone time. Because he also needs to start practicing the labyrinth. Because now that he's in class four, he's allowed to use the labyrinth more. He wants to be able to, Key's really threatened him that he needs to get to the end of the labyrinth. So he wants to use this time to practice with Misa. Again, like usual, we get a bit more information from Calidus about how he got to where he is in class seven. Calidus admits to Viz that there was a point where he was in love with Belly, or he thought he was in love with Belly, because this was before, I believe, before one of the years that they started in school. So he was in class three, and I think they had a semester's break or something. Belly and a few others went round to Calidus's place to train. They were invited there by Calidus's dad. It was a good time. They're having fun. They got on with everybody. They got on with his sisters and everything. It was a good time. Calidus had found out about the deaths that were happening amongst the thirds and fourths. So he's like, look, I need to tell the person I care about that something dodgy is going on. So he's like, let me sit down with Belly, who is my girl that I think I love. Let me tell her that I need to keep you safe, babes. Belly's just like, I don't believe you. You need to give me some proof. So Calidus steals some important documents from his dad's office. Remember, Calidus's dad is part of the census, so he has all the information about everybody. So he gets some important documents and shows these to Belly. Belly takes them away, and he's like, at this point, he's just like, oh, she can have them for a few days, but Belly don't give them back. She don't give them back as she uses them to blackmail him. The thing is if anyone finds out that these important documents got stolen, A, stolen from his dad, and B, given to somebody else, his standing would drop. So his whole family would be isolated. And also Calidus would actually get arrested for the theft of these important documents. He's like, and I think she uses, if I remember correctly, she uses this to blackmail him into getting into to dropping out of class. Is that what
Yeah.
happens? To make her
So her
standing
whole
better?
purpose, she didn't even like him to begin with. Her whole purpose to
Mm,
get close to him was to get something to make him, to get out. Because that was I think, to show the competitiveness as well. Because
mm,
we haven't really been in the academy, so to remind us of how savage the academy is. So
mm,
it's one in, one out. So she needed to get upper class. She needed him to move. So
yeah.
she started getting close to him and all of that stuff. And then she blackmailed him to get him to drop, but she still didn't give it back. Well, obviously because she
Mm,
needed to hold it over him. Otherwise, he could just come back up, I guess.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. And the other issue now is that so this is just like, okay, so that's happened. But the other thing to bear in mind is that Belly's still pushing Calidus for more information. So that's why remember when we saw them walking when Viz came back, he saw them going for a walk and he was like, oh, they're going for a romantic walk. No, it's because she's pushing him to get more information, and she's still been threatening him.
And it's also because now that there's now this like weird climate with the civil war going on, they're like, if this comes out, this will cause a lot more of an issue with the governance group as well. So he actually needs to get it back so that he can put it back. Because if it's found that those documents are missing, but just by
Mm,
chance, so he's trying to
mm,
get it put back.
yeah, yeah, yeah. After hearing this, Viz is just like, I need to help you in some sort of way. And this actually works quite well because remember, he needs to get to class three. Belly is in class three, and he's going to use this as a way to A, help Calidus, and B, get rid of Belly so he can steal her spot. So Viz decides he makes this plan. We don't hear exactly what this plan is until just a couple of sentences later. Viz shares his plan with Amisa, who is happy to help. But then when he explains how he wants to do it, she's just like, ah, are you sure it's going to work? So the plan is to bet Belly's spot in class three in a game of foundation. I look at it as chess. It might not be chess, but in my head, it's a game of chess. Belly's actually quite good at this game, and which is what Amisa says to him. It's just like, no, Belly's actually really good. Are you sure you're going to be able to do this? And he's just like, don't worry, I've got this. So he's thinking that what I will do is we'll pledge that if I win the game, then I will have her place in class three. And if Belly wins, he will pledge to governance, which is Belly's pyramid, which would be really good for Belly because A, it shows that she's able to bring somebody over to her because he will pledge to governance and be in Belly's pyramid, and that's taken away from the military pyramid. And remember, we're talking about all this civil war thing that's going on. So it's shifting the balances, having this known person, a Catanicus, go over to governance. The way they do it is because Belly's also quite a proud person. So I think they start playing
The
the game.
irony of this bet in hindsight with where he ends up.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's actually really true. So the way they do this is because good old Belly she's a bit hot tempered. Oh, bless her. They start playing the game. So Viz and Amisa are playing the game, and Belly's watching them, and she's looking at them like, oh, like that's not the move to make. She's getting annoyed by the moves that they're making, and then he kind of says like, oh, do you want to play? And she's like, nah. I'm not playing you. And then he's just like, oh, you're afraid to play. Like, you're afraid that I'll beat you. So he's able to swing her around. He then explains the bet. And she's just like, that's good. That's a good thing for me because that makes me look good. And I also know I will be better than you at playing Foundation. He's just like, cool, you ready to do it? Perfect. Pray captors. I think even Misa is just like she gets these two preceptors to be witness to the fact that she said that she's willing to bet her spot in class three. So the game starts. Belly's actually really good at the game, but and even at one point, Viz even understands like, oh, I might have underestimated how good Belly was at this game. But again, Belly has also underestimated Viz. This is the same as who was that guy Yannick's in the duel. Everybody seems to underestimate him. So she
Because he's
actually
an orphan.
yeah,
Where would he have
exactly.
had the time to
Yeah,
be doing
to
this
do all of
leisurely?
this. Yeah. So she underestimates Viz and he does get the upper hand. At the point in the game where he's definitely going to win, he quietly offers to give up the game to her and says, if you go back with Calidus, get and give him the documents, then I'll throw the game. She's like, fine, I'll take that offer. So she goes off with Calidus. Calidus gets the documents back. And when they come back to the table, Viz kind of gives Calidus the eye to check, like, have you got everything? Are you happy with it? And he's just like, yeah, I got it. It's good. He nods to say, we're all clear. So Viz is supposed to throw the game, and he's just like, nah, bitch.
I loved it.
So instead of stopping, he actually beats Belly, and Belly is shocked. She's like, sorry? And he says, not pleasant seeing your trust betrayed, is it? And with that, he is moved into class three. So, moving on to class three. All right. So, class three is obviously harder, and the preceptor, although fair, doesn't like this, which is understandable because of the way he's. No, I don't think it's because of that. It's probably just because he is, like everybody says, a non-Katana and an orphan. And how has he moved up so quickly? I don't think it's because of the way he got through there, because that's how you win the game, isn't it? Just as Viz is getting into the class, he's finding his feet, because in the beginning he is really struggling, but he starts to get into it, and Misa helps him with classes and with training. Then the third teacher or the third preceptor announces that the Eutychium will begin earlier and everyone needs to prepare. And it's just like, sorry,
Everyone's shocked. Yeah.
like we don't usually start this early. What's going on? So it's almost like they've been waiting for this to enter, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if it's
No,
said
I think it's so that he
explicitly.
wasn't ready, I think.
That's a
Because
good point.
yeah, I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was to hurt him because yeah, why is it so soon? He
Mm,
was tired. The boy was tired. He was like
mm.
struggling.
Yeah, that's actually a valid point. I didn't think about it. I just thought, oh, maybe Reliquia has done something to get this ball
Oh,
rolling
maybe
quickly now
yeah.
that he's in there.
Mm,
So now Viz will be able to join the Eutychium because remember it's only class three students that can join, and now Viz is part of class three. So the Eutychium is different every year, with each third student having two lower students under their command during the test. So these teams will then be put up against each other. And usually, what would be done is that if you're a third student, you would choose people from class four. So Belly is still going to be in the game somehow because she's only been moved to class four. But obviously, Viz is like, look, I've got my boys, Calidus and Aiden. I'm going to go to them first. So he speaks to Aiden. Aiden's like, don't worry, boy, I got you. I'm down for the cause. But Calidus is hesitant because remember, he's in class seven and he's there because one of the reasons is he knows that people are dying in class three or four. And he's just like, I told you that people are dying. Why are you now asking me to join you in this? But in the end, he does follow Viz. Viz confirms his team with Viridius, who actually understands his choice. He says to him, like, that does make sense. It's sometimes better to have trust rather than just having people in a higher rank. And he also explains that he'll have to talk to the subordinates in private. So every person that decides to join the thirds will be spoken to. They'll have like a little interview, and anything they discuss in that interview, they cannot tell the third person that they're connected with. So he says to Viz, like, you can't ask them about it because if you do, you will be disqualified. So he's like, okay, all right, whatever. Then a couple of days later, Aiden speaks to Viz and he's just like, yeah, so I said I was down for the cause. I can't do it anymore. And Viz is like, well, sorry, but you're my guy. And you're also quite strong. He explains that for him to get into the school, his dad had to bargain with the Republic because he was actually Aiden was actually connected, or he was yeah, I guess connected to the sappers. So he was able to come out of that and he's now joined the school.
Because
But
they were the head of their last stand and they fought against the Republic.
exactly, the
Um,
Chimerans.
that's why he hates the Republic.
If he's now there and he knows that joining the Udikium will put them all at risk. So he's just like, okay, he understands it. Viz is like, okay, I get what you're saying. I get it. It's fine. So Viz decides to ask Equa, who at this point isn't a popular person because of what she did to Viz earlier, where she set him up and was accusing him of cheating. So everybody's been looking at her a bit sideways since then because they're just like, rah, you're crazy. Like, why would you do that? So he decides to choose Equa, who's she's shocked that he did, considering everything that he'd gone through, but he's actually quite thankful. And she asks him, I think she says to him, like, oh, like, was I was I the first person, or like who was I in the list of people? I'm sure you went to loads of other people first. And he's like, nah, to be fair, I then said no, I came straight to you. And this does make us slightly pleased, which is when I was a bit like, oh, Equa, baby girl, what's going on here? Why are we so happy? So he explains to her that he knows she's highly skilled, and because of what happened, he knows and how she feels guilty. This would hopefully motivate her to be supportive in their team. Now it's a team of Calidus, Viz, and Equa. They train together for weeks. They're building a good rapport with each other. And the day arrives. So when they get to the Eutychium, so the Eutychium starts, Viz is able to scan the other teams. All of the other thirds have picked somebody from the fourths. It's only Viz, like we said before, that has picked somebody that's not in the fourths because Calidus is on his team. And one of the thirds, Ero, has picked Belly and she's in his team. So he's like, damn it, this bitch is going to be here again. To be fair, Viz does feel a bit bad about what happened, but he also knows that Belly will be a good competitor as well. I'm going to just go into what Viridius explains is the test. So we have an object from a statue on the grounds is called the Heart of Jovan, and it's hidden on the island. So the person that returns the heart to the statue will win. So if that person is a third, they'll be named Domitor, and each student on their team will be ranked at the top of class 4. So because if a subordinate places the heart on the statue, they will receive a reward that each has been privately offered in advance. So do you remember when everybody had those meetings with Viridius? They had a conversation about some things that he was going to incentivize them to win. So if you think about it, Viz realizes at this point that Viridius offering these things, whatever it is that he's offered to the other people that are joining, or the subordinates that have joined the thirds, this could incentivize them to betray their commanders so that they can take the heart for themselves to win whatever they've been promised. That's the aim of the game. It's basically find the heart and get it to the statue of Joban. The teams go to the far side of the island to begin. Each student is given a medallion that tracks their location, which they must have in possession for them to win and for the win to be valid. Students can steal, they can break each other's medallions to remove them from the competition, but you're not, if I remember correctly, you're not actually allowed to hurt each other. Each team also receives
Well,
a
there's
tracking.
birthright, so they're not supposed to kill,
Yeah,
but
there we go.
that's no one's take seriously.
I'm pretty
Seriously.
sure they're not allowed to kill each other. That's why when shit starts to happen, it's just like rough.
Well, yeah, there's
Um,
birthright. No one's supposed to kill.
mm, yeah, true. So each team also receives tracking stones for the other team. So with one less stone for each lower rank. So this means that the top team, Indor, can track all the teams, and Viz's team, because he's on the lowest team, can't track any teams. Additionally, each student also must swallow a black bead as like a safety thing, so that they've got a safety team of two sexti who can track students in case of injury. So that's the gist of what the Eutychium is about. You've got a bunch of kids running around trying to find a heart to stick onto the statue because they want to either win the Domitor or win a promise that they've been given. The Eutychium begins, and Viz and his team are trying to figure out the way to win, whilst Viz is also, because also we need to remember that Viz is actually also trying to get to the labyrinth because Olkiskor said you need to get to the labyrinth some way or the other and get to the end. So that's another thing that he's trying to do whilst all of this is happening. So bless him, he's got a lot going on at the same time. So the first thing he does do is he vomits up the tracker so that he isn't
Yeah,
caught when he
they gave
goes to the
him,
library.
they gave them all, like she mentioned, a bunch of tools, but they also gave them survival kit because they're going to be in this wilderness. So
Yes, it's in the wilderness.
he stuffs his stomach with bread as Veritas is explaining, and I'm just like, okay, he's hungry or whatever, trying to get stamina. But no, because that tracker is similar to the tracker that Rilakia had put on him or something. But he's like, I can't just cut out my clothes like or whatever. So he's thinking, how the hell am I gonna get out? And so he stuffs his face, and then as soon as it starts, he vomits.
He vomits it up.
And I think someone
So
else did it too.
Yeah, there's somebody else that does it. So that happens, and they head off. So they find a spot. He takes his team to west. They're trying to figure out what they're doing, trying to make a plan.
Yeah,
And
he twangs them to go west because they're like, why are we going west?
mm,
And
because
then
that's
he's like,
close to where he needs to go for the labyrinth.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
He's just trying to
So,
think, how am I going to sneak away when they're asleep? So,
yeah, exactly. He's just like, look, I know this Domitor thing, but I also need to do this. So they're there, and I don't know if one night passes, but anyways, basically, as soon as possible, Ero and Belly's team catch Viz. They're the first people to catch Viz's team, and
which is strange because he's like, why would they go to this to everyone else went the opposite direction, basically?
mm,
So it was very strange that, yeah, that
because
one other
remember,
team,
the top team have the beads that
yeah.
so they know where everybody is, whereas Viz's team are in a disadvantage. They don't know where anybody is, so they're sitting ducks. So
But no
that's
one should know
why.
where Viz's team is because he threw up his thing.
Exactly. So it's like, oh, how did you know to come here? But that's yeah. So they get there, and I think they're having a conversation when like Equa's eyes like go wide because these people come out of the forest and attack them.
Mm.
Viz gets knocked out. He wakes up, and he's in a situation where you've got Belly that's like laughing over him. She's kicking him because remember Belly hates this guy because he took her spot in
Mm.
that way, and she's also like, which is what everybody's saying is just like, how did you get to class 3 from being class 7? They're pissed off with him. They're in a situation now where they're just like, Iroh's like, look, Calidus, well, not really Calidus, but Equa, you need to join our crew. That's the only way you're going to win this. Calidus refuses, Equa agrees, which shocks everybody, including Calidus, because he's like, right, like I thought we were besties. But Viz is kind of just like, although he's pissed off, he kind of understands why she would do it.
And
And
he thinks it must be a plan. He actually doesn't believe she's fully going.
especially Calidus, Calidus is like, she's coming back. She's coming back. She's coming back.
It just shocks
And
everyone. It's like, nah, you were too quick to. He didn't even have to persuade you or nothing.
she was just like, yeah, I'll
Okay.
join you. And she even says, like, I think she says when they're planning to leave, like, oh, I think she says to him like, "Oh, like let's take their cloak or something because it's going to be cold at night. So we'll
Mm.
take your cloak and we'll tie them up." So both Viz and Calidus are like stuck there, just like,
Like,
"Rah,
right, yeah, you're
you
gonna kill
actually
us.
just, yeah, he just left us out here to suffer." So they leave. Viz and Calidus are sat in the forest. Calidus, like we said, is believing that Equal will be back. Viz believes at this point, after some point, he's just like,
Mm,
nah, Equal
nah,
has
this is
betrayed
mad.
us. Like,
Even I was like,
she's not coming
rah,
back.
she's not coming back. Because
Yeah,
even I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
nah, she must be, that's madness. That was too
There's some
good.
sort of plan.
Then I was like, rah, she's fully not coming back. Like,
She's
these
not
people
coming
are,
back. We were actually with Calidus because I was with him. I really was with him. So you've got that happening, and they're sat there whilst they're just pissed off with the situation. We have that conversation between Calidus and Viz where they're talking about. I think Viz says to Calidus like, "Oh." Or maybe it was Calidus that says to Viz, like, oh, like something that Viridius promised Equal must have been something really big for her
mm,
to snake us like this. And he then says to Viz, then says to Calidus, like, oh, like what did he promise you? And he said, what did he say? He offered him Domitor. And Viz is like, sorry? He offered you what? He's like, yeah, that's my reaction when
I
the
thought that's what
Principalis.
Equa got.
No. So he said, I chuckled, glad of Calidus's company too, even if I'm responsible. And he says, what did they offer you? Calidus takes his time replying, Domitor. And he
Oh,
says, what? What? My reaction too, when the principalist told me word for word, he said that if I was on the winning team, I would graduate as part of class four. And if I brought the heart back myself, I would become Domitor. And I forgot they say
oh.
Vec. Do you remember they say like Vec? And
Yeah,
what
oh
in
yeah, like instead
gods?
of, yeah, yeah.
So at this point, he's just like, raw. So they're offering
Mm.
big things for you guys to become, to take the heart.
Because
And
how would
this
you
is
swang that? Yeah.
exactly, and this is also where he's just like, raw, thank you, Calidus. You did, you actually could have gone with these people. You didn't have to stay with me. So it kind of cements their friendship. Eventually, I feel like something happened in between, but eventually, Equa
Yeah,
does
things start
return.
to pop off, and he's like, "Nah, we are going to die here." Because he
Mm,
notices things are starting to look strange. Things are just a
mm.
bit weird. I don't know if he sees
See,
them
something happens
guards
because
from the tavern because he sees the people that were following. He sees people that he hasn't seen before, but he's seen them before, but he knew to be wary of those guards for some reason. I think because he recognized them from the transvected attack or something.
we'll see how it goes because I feel like
But yeah,
something
there was
happened.
something happened before she came back.
Mm. So eventually, Equal returns because she convinces Iro and their team that, let me go have a look around, let me scout ahead alone. So she comes back, she unties the team, and she also
And she
warns
has their
Viz,
trackers as well because she needed
yeah,
it to track.
track them. So then she warns Viz that Iro had the same plan to skirt around the border of the island. So Viz is worried about what this means because remember he needs to go to the labyrinth and he's like, damn, you're messing up my ting.
Mm.
So because this just ruins his strategy for the Udikium. This is why he's here.
Because
So Viz just
Hero's trying to use it as a personal vendetta as well. So he would be looking out to get him off the boards because people are targeting. I think one team got taken out straight away.
mm.
So yeah, people are clearly targeting their enemies as well.
Yeah, they're using it, especially because it's now Iro and Belly hates Viz. So it's kind of, you can see that they're basically coming for Viz. So Viz devises a plan where Equal return to Iro's group to steal back his medallion because you can't win without your medallion. You need your medallion, and they took the
Mm.
medallion from him when they left him. Whilst Equal's gone back, Viz and Calidus, the plan was to ambush the safety group. So remember, you got the sex side that are watching over everybody, and that's why everybody had to swallow those black beads. And their plan is to ambush the safety group or the sextie so that they can steal their student trackers. Because obviously, Viz is in a situation where he doesn't know where anybody is, so he's hoping to steal the student tracker to start to be able to find out where people are. He said to Calidus, "Look." what I'll do, let's all separate and we'll split up and we'll meet the next morning. Viz also at this point apologizes to Equa to say, like, I'm sorry for trusting you. And she says, like, a bar to basically be like, I wouldn't have trusted me either. So don't worry, you don't have to trust me. We go to where the safety group are, or the safety adults are, and Calidus causes a distraction, which allows Viz to sneak into the camp and steal the tracker. But there's a lot of chaos because one of the sextuses notices him and starts chasing him into the trees. And he starts picking up trees and dashing them.
They were a bit too aggressive in their chase, and
Yeah,
Viz is
it
like, "What's
was
going on?"
wild. Like, these are kids. Like,
It was supposed to be a safety team, not.
it was actually, I was like, what's going on here? Because, like, when I was reading it, I was just like, and Viz actually
It,
says it. He's like, they're
yeah.
using too much force. What's happening here? And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Like
Like,
it was like he was supposed like you can't be that upset that I stole the tracker from you, that a kid that
mm,
because that's how it read out, like he was throwing a tantrum that someone took the
mm,
tracker from him,
You have this happening. Viz is trying to run away,
and he took
because
their cloak as well.
yeah, so he had picked when he's running away, he had picked up a cloak. And obviously he also loses track of Calidus who had helped him with the distraction. And he picks up the cloak, and this is when he gets the opportunity to sneak away. So Viz travels to the ruins, and as he's going, this is when he clocks on the cloak because I think he touches it and he clocks that
Mm,
it's wet, and he's just like, "Oh, this Sextus, this cloak, is covered in blood." So that's
mm.
another thing to be like, why? Why are they covered in blood when they're supposed to be the safety team? This is safety team. They're dashing trees and they're covered in blood. So we know Viz is clocking on that something weird is happening, but again, Viz has some shit to do. He needs to get to this labyrinth. So he's just like, let me get there and I'll figure this shit out later. He's clocking on to this situation, and then suddenly Anna Loopy leaps out of nowhere and pins him to the ground. So he's like, shit, what the hell is this? Remember that Loopy are like a breed of wolf. Like if you think wolf, like huge wolf, maybe that will give you a good visual. And Loopy's sniffing him, and then he jumps away. And he's just looking at him strangely. And this is when Viz clocks, bro, Diago, I saved you some months ago. How you doing, boy? You okay? Obviously, Diago is a bit weary of him, but he does follow him. He follows him on his travels, and they reach the domed building. And when we get there, Diago is just like, bro, Viz, do
Did
you really
he
want to go in here?
see? Did he do this before he found out what was going on for real? With
No, this is
the.
before, I think.
Mm,
Yeah, this is basically before it all goes crazy. Yeah, so Diago and Viz go on a little stroll to this dome or the ruins or the labyrinth, and Diago's growling at the entrance to be like, "Bro, Viz, you don't need to go in there. It's okay. Like, you don't need to do it." Viz is like, "Bro, you don't understand. Oh, Kisco's gonna send me to the Sapper, so I'm gonna have to go in there." Viz goes
the dog is
into
like very aggressive to the point that Viz can't misunderstand what the dog's trying to say. Like the dog is
mm,
clearly trying to
he's like,
stop him. Even
"Don't
as he's
do it."
getting closer to it, the dog is like trying to direct him other places.
Mm. And he's just like, I have to. You don't know. Oh, Kisco's mad. So he goes down to the chamber, and remember we talked about these people that just appear to talk to Viz. A new figure appears to speak to Viz and says, do you want a demonstration of the labyrinth? He's just like, because he remembers what happened last time. And he's like, okay. So they demonstrate how to go through the labyrinth, and they get destroyed. They get like stabbed with spikes. It's like a really scary experience. And this happens around 5 times. He has to ask a figure to demonstrate. So each time he asks, another of these figures gets destroyed as they get further
Because
and
he's
further
trying to
down the
test
labyrinth.
the rules, but
Exactly.
the first time he did this, he was reluctant because he's sure they're dead, but
Mm,
obviously there's not really magic in this place. So he's like they must be alive somehow. He doesn't really understand what he's seeing. So just in case they are
mm.
alive, he kind of feels bad causing them to die just so that he can test the labyrinth. And obviously someone different comes back, so he doesn't know where they're going when they die when they
But
vaporize in front of him.
wasn't like the last person that does it is like a young girl or something, and he's just
Yeah.
like, no,
Nah,
I can't.
he's like,
Yeah,
I've
I
had
can't.
enough information. I've got to go off what I've known. So,
Yeah.
he's trying to test different theories that he has on how to figure out. Because obviously, when they test running the labyrinth, he always has a partner. He's not doing the
Mm,
bracer and the running the labyrinth at the same time. So, That's why he knew he was going to test a few times, but like Kim said, the last time it was a young person, he's like, okay, nah, you're taking a piss. And I think they did that intentionally. He was like, how many times what are you gonna do? Figure out the whole maze?
You see how many people have died for you?
Because he was trying to get the timing right of when the
Yeah.
monsters come in and approach. Because he figures out that the monsters are doing a pattern. It's not, yeah, he can outsmart it basically.
Remember when you do the labyrinth, you were supposed to have somebody that was supposed to be watching your spotter, you're the runner, and you would have other students that were going to be coming at you to stop you. So as he's going through, the people that are trying to, or the other things that are trying to stop him, he's able to successfully avoid them. Then he finds dun, 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 a corpse with red hair. It's Belly's body, dead and pinned to a wall. And he's like, sorry? Belly, what are you doing here? So he freezes in shock, and the problem is, he would have clocked that the pattern he was using, it's a timed pattern, and because he's frozen in shock because he's seen Belly,
Mhm.
this
Throwing it all off.
unfortunately, yeah. So this gives the shadows time to catch up with him. So he's like rushing through the labyrinth, and he's able to exit at the other side just as the shadows are about to reach him, and I'm pretty sure he's able to get out of the labyrinth. Do the shadows follow him or do they disappear? Because isn't it this when
He makes it through. It's the other way back
yeah,
that he
yeah,
doesn't.
perfect. Thank you. So he's able to get through the the labyrinth, and the shadows disappear. Viz realizes that Belly must have been sent into the labyrinth by Viridius. I don't know. We don't know why,
But that's
unless you
why
do, Lola.
Ero's team also, because he was like, why would Ero's team be going that way as well? Like
Mm,
the his excuse that he told the team of why he was going that way didn't make sense. So
mm,
when another team had that same idea, he's like, when Eco said, oh, they had the same idea, he was like, whoa, okay. And then when we
mm.
see Belly there, I was like, oh, so Belly really is there. So she was trying to do the same thing as well.
Same thing. So now she's dead, and only he knows why. So he's the only one that will know that she's, I think, in there dead. I don't know because
Well,
we don't see anybody else.
this is how they disappear. So, because
Because people keep
it's
getting
always class
sent.
3 and 4, and it's because Viridius is trying to get someone to complete the. I think Viridius is trying to get someone to complete the
Mm.
lab because they're always
Ah, when we're
pets of
doing this
religion.
now, I'm like, okay, maybe Rhodus isn't such a good guy.
See,
Yeah,
that's why I was like, because he's sending these kids to
his
go to
kids had
this.
to slaughter. Everybody's sending
Mm,
kids to slaughter.
that's why I
Nobody
don't
cares about the
believe what
children.
happened with Zero. But then anyway,
So, unless he's trying to figure out what happened with Zero in his own way, I don't know.
that's the thing.
But
That's the thing. So
mm,
I'm really interested
maybe
to
that's
start
the
the
other
second
reason.
book. Yeah.
Yeah, so he reaches another dark chamber at the end, of which is like this circle on the floor, and it's like ringed by sharp bronze blades. And so all around him are these words that are carved into the walls, like in ancient, in like a ancient language. I think it's Vetusian, that he can't read very well, but he's able to piece together some clues so that he can figure out what he needs to do next. So Viz steps between these bronze spikes, which start to move, and they're like going around him. The pressure starts to build in the air, and he's like feeling like he's being
It's not
crushed.
pleasant.
And then he passes out. He wakes up to find that there's this black fog that's surrounding him, and within that fog, that you've got like all these weird figures that are
This
swirling around.
is when the book starts going mad, by the way, when he wakes up, by the way. Because I was reading
Before
it, and
this,
as soon as he woke up, I was like, something's weird. Something's weird.
yeah.
You start getting a
Oh,
weird feeling as soon as he wakes up, because he starts getting feelings. Yeah, as soon
yes.
as
This
he
is when all
wakes
these
up.
weird powers happen, isn't it?
And I felt like we missed a bit. Like there was it just
Clock
yeah.
it. Clock that tea. Yeah, so he wakes up, finds like this black fog is surrounding him, and within the fog, like there's these figures pointing weapons at him. He's like, "Bruh, what's going on?" And he starts to see these cuts appear on his left arm. When we get to the end about
Mm,
cuts and stuff, isn't it, Lola? Isn't it?
mm.
Isn't it? I'm pointing at Lola. Sorry, guys, but it's not a visual. So he's got all these cuts that appear on his left arm, and they're
Literally.
spelling out the word wait.
Wait, that's it. Wait, yeah.
Yeah, so they spell out the word wait. So the black fog is swelling around him, and these figures drop their weapons. And a second word cuts into his left arm saying, run. Viz is
Run.
like, you don't have to tell me twice. I'm running. So he starts to run out of the chamber, back through the labyrinth, up the
Diago's there
platform.
fighting all these
In it,
things.
our good old Alupi is here to help him because there's all these figures that are blocking the passage, like trying to stop him.
Like,
They're
you'll
saying
stay
that you need to
here.
complete the journey. You need to complete
Yeah.
the journey. But Diago runs in. He's clearing the way, like attacking people, biting people, yelping. I was like, oh, like my poor baby. So he's running to the entrance, and these figures attack him. And one of the figures is able to bite down on Viz's left arm. So at last, we get out Diago and Viz fighting and escaping, and they're able to get across the river where Viz again, this poor guy forever passes out. Like Lola said, this is a madness. It just ramps up. He wakes up with Diago, like I said, licking him. And he gets up and he's just like, look, I need to go find my team. I actually need to find Equa, I need to find Calidus. And he goes out in search of them. When he does find them, Equa is like, what the hell happened to you? Like, well, I left you for 2 seconds. Like, why is your arm mashed up like this? And he's just like, oh, that he claims that he got bitten by an Alupi. And I was like, oh, blame Diago for what happened. But I guess, it could be another Alupi. So she treats the bite wound on his arm. And
But she's like,
remember,
this is weird. She's looking at
yeah,
it like she's asking
like
him
this,
questions, but she's not
because Equa being
pressing
Equa.
the way,
Yeah.
the way she does.
Because she's like, to be fair, and also she's like, we don't have time. Like he's mash up. We actually this is, and I think she's also clocking something's not right either. So in regards to the whole setup, remember that the reason why we even got into this situation, actually not really, but part of the reason we got into this situation in the first place is because he wanted to steal the board or the tracker from the safety team. So they've got the tracker, and he's just like, I've got the tracker now. Let's help her to find the locations of the other teams. So they start to make some plans. And Fizz at this point tells them about the fact that the Sextus were dashing trees at him when he when he went to run away. And he also highlights the bloody cloak. But nobody there is understanding what he means. They're just a bit like, oh, okay, maybe because they're Sextus, they were really strong. I'm sure they weren't trying to hurt you. But he's just like, nah, this is weird. They use the safety team tracker to find the locations of the other teams. They see that Indol's team, he's near the heart of the thing, and he's planning
Just
to.
circling around just in
Yeah,
case someone's trying to take it, but he's not actually going for it.
exactly. And so what they agree to do is that Calidus will take all of their medallions and head towards the academy so that the other teams can't track them. And then Viz and Equa will sneak up on Indol's team to get the heart first. So Viz and Equa head towards the heart, which is hidden in a tower near a river. And this is where they stumble across like this open grave filled with bodies. And they're like, what's going on here? Why are there dead bodies? And they realize that the safety teams have been murdered and replaced by Anguis infiltrators. So this is where like shit starts hitting the
So
fan. Go.
if you remember back when Viz was listening in, he was hearing stuff and he wasn't making sense. And
Mm.
it was the planning of this because they needed to do it at the school because this is the children of all the notable people. So this is what military were doing.
Oh, so you're saying that this is military?
Yeah, they said they planned this.
Mm. Ah, fair. I just thought, oh yeah, because they're all in cahoots. So, like we said, we figured out that the safety team have been replaced by the Anguis infiltrators. So the people that were dashing trees at Viz when he was running away were the Anguis people. And they also noticed among this hill of bodies are several academy students. And they're just like, okay, so we've also killed students. What's going on here? So they decide, you know what? It's not really about this heart and this game that we're playing. We need to start warning other people that something's not right here. So they look on their tracker and they can only see that there are two teams left, Indol's and Amisa's team, which is wild. I can't remember how many teams there were in the first place, but we've only got 3 teams in total.
I think there's only like 6. There's not that
Six.
many
I
of
feel like
them
there's
in
only
class
6
three.
in
Yeah,
3, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah.
Viz decides that he'll go locate Indol and Equal will go find Amisa, and then they will both look for Calidus. So that was the plan. So Viz finds Indol and he convinces him that the Anguis have infiltrated the island and they need to return to school. And Vindal does take it in stride. He's just like, okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying. But before they split up, Viz warns Indo about the fact that his father is working with the Anguis. And because remember, when he went to Seuss and he was in the passageways, he heard about the fact that they were working together. And he also admits to Indo at this point, he's just like, I'm also aware that you're planning to defect to religion. And he's a bit concerned that Keyskill, as in Indo's dad, might retaliate. So Indo's just like, sorry, I never told Abisa that. And he's just like, Viz, be careful, bro. And then he disappears. I was just like, Amisa,
Mm.
Amisa, what's going
That was
on?
tastefully done because I just assumed, yeah, okay, they're both in cahoots. They were both trying to
Because,
defect to their religion.
you
And then
know,
when he's like, rah, okay, that's cool. Thanks for the heads up. But yeah, just by the way, I never told that bitch that.
so is he actually planning to defect religion? Did she make that up,
I
or
do
is
think
it
he
that
is,
she
but it's just
knew?
like the fact that she knows is sketchy. Yeah.
Because when he said it's the fact that I think when he said it, I think I gasped. I was like, Emisa, what's going on?
It was well written, that bit.
Yeah, in it was really. I was just like, oh my god, shit. So Viz, so yeah, so they split off because I can't remember why Indor splits off. Why does Indor split off? Why doesn't he just go with Viz?
I can't remember why they split off, but I think
Yeah,
it's
why did
because
they
of the
split
way the
off?
team was set up. But I
Or
can't
was he
remember
going
exactly
back to get
why.
his team?
Mm,
Wasn't he going back to get his team?
I think so.
Because
Because I
he
think he
just
was at
met
the top
Indor.
of something, yeah, and they
Yes,
were
yes.
stationed at the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Viz finds Iqua and Amisa's team, and Amisa's teammate explained that, Amisa's not here, babes. She's gone, she left her medallion behind so that she couldn't be tracked, basically doing what Viz was doing, and she's gone to the tower. Equal says to Viz, like, let me go. I need to go warn Calidus about what's going on in this madness. And Viz is like, do you know what? Cool. I'll go after Amisa. It's like everybody's just splitting. I feel like let's all join together as one. And all of this running around splitting up is just cause it girls. But anyway, so we get to the tower and Viz again runs into one of the Anguis. And it was the same man that Viz saw speaking with Reliquia at the festival of Platuna. And this is that festival where because there's so many festivals. Which
The one that
festival was
said that
this?
was like bonfire night, that they were playing games and Equal was like, yeah, we'll go together.
Yes, when she tries to set him up. Yeah. Somehow this man knows that Viz recently went through the gate, saying it is something they have in common. So do you remember when Lola said this is when shit gets weird? It's because I think this is the gate. This is when he's done something. Put that headset down. Go on, Lola. Explain.
Also,
Go.
another thing was when he came out, he kept having a feeling. He kept saying, "Oh,
And
I
he
can
could sense
feel people are
things.
coming. Yeah,
Yeah, he could sense
something's got.
things.
Oh, wait, stop right here." And then
Mm.
they saw a bunch of bodies or stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah, so he's just like, I can tell that you've been through a gate. We have something in common. So to demonstrate to Viz what he means, he warps the air and then disappears, and he reappears standing behind Viz, and he warns Viz that you know that arm that you got bitten on, you're probably gonna lose it because none of us get out without scars. And I was like, what's happening? What's going on? I was like whipping my head back and forth, like, can somebody explain what's happening?
I was like,
And
he
the
never
book is
went
like
in
getting near the end.
because from our point of view, he was at a door and he turns around. From
Mm.
our point of view, so it's like, but why? He didn't actually do anything.
Yeah, he
He didn't
passed
do it
out.
yet. Mm.
He actually passed
He go
out. What
away.
happened?
That's what we're thinking.
Yeah, so then he leaves, this mystery guy, he leaves, and this allows Viz to run up to the tower to where Misa is. So he gets to the tower, and this is where Viz confronts another Anguist, these bloody Anguists. And he sees Amisa, and Amisa uses will to kill the Anguist and pushes him out of a window. And I'm just like, hmm.
You should not be able to even use it if you wanted to when you're in this
Exactly,
place.
because when you're in this place, you shouldn't be able to use it. So that's interesting. So Viz sees the heart on the floor and he runs to grab it. He tells Emisa about the Anguis and that they need to get to safety. So he's basically like, at this point, this game is done. Let's go. We need to get out. But Emisa looks at the bite wound on his arm and she freezes. Then she demands to Viz, like, give me that heart back. I need to win. And he's just like, baby girl, there's some mad shit happening. We need to get out of here. And she's like, give me the heart back. I need to win. I think she says something like, I can't
You
lose.
should
They
have done
can't.
that, or she knows. Like from
Yeah,
then on, she
something's
knows where he's
happened.
been. And it was like because she was with him right up until she saw his blood, and she was like,
Mm. So then he's hurt, but she's like, I think he drops the heart to the floor, and then Amicia just stabs him
and that was
and
unnecessary as well. She could have just taken it.
she but she could have ran. But she takes the heart, stabs him in his stomach with the dagger, he staggers
But
backwards,
she stabbed him
and
because of
falls
the
out the
wound. I
window.
think actually, so actually, tell her like she was always going to take it from him because she
Mm,
needed to win. But she
mm.
stabs him when she sees the wounds. That's actually why she stabbed him.
Yeah, true. Yeah, 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 yeah. Because I think she was, and I think somebody says later that she thought she was doing him
A favor, yeah.
a favor by doing this. So we have Viz. Remember, Viz has been pushed in the water. So not pushed, he falls into the water after getting stabbed in the stomach, and he's brokenhearted because it's like, rah, Misa actually stabbed me. Like she didn't just take the heart from me; she stabbed me and ran away. So Viz dragged himself out of the water. He's actually quite amazed that he survived, considering everything. Because remember, he's got that bite. He's been cut up on his arms and also the stab wound in his stomach, and he clocks on that the stab wound isn't as deep as he thought it was, and he goes to the academy. So he heads to the academy realizing that he can actually still win the Eutychium, if because remember Calidus has the medallions, and Amisa doesn't have her medallion because she left her medallion behind with her team,
And
and she only just
need the
has the
heart
heart, and
and the member.
you need the medallion. So he's like, I can still make it somehow. So he's heading off to find Calidus, who he does find bravely wounded with a dead Anguis by his side. So Viz is like, what happened, Calidus? Are you okay? Blah blah blah. And Viz, sorry, is trying to carry Calidus towards the school. Whilst they're going, he's trying to keep Calidus awake. He's trying to keep him alive. He's just like, look, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's a really sad moment. He's like, because I was
Mm.
quite shocked at this point because I was thinking, rah,
You
we're
didn't need
not.
to die, man.
Yeah, like, are we not going to carry you into the next book? We're actually losing Calidus. Um, and he's saying to him, he's just like, don't worry, you can stay alive. We've got this, we've got this. And Calidus says to him at that point, he's just like, please tell my dad why I was demoted. And I was like, no.
Because in the many stories that Calidus told, he was like, yeah, my dad was in on it. My dad was in on it every
Mm,
time. So it was like, wait, even when we found out the belly thing, it was like, so did your dad know this? And we're trying to get this back so that your dad doesn't get in trouble? Or are you trying to
it's
get
like,
this back
no.
so your dad doesn't know? So we find out now that no, his dad didn't know. Initially, we were told that his dad doesn't care about him because he's bringing shame on the family. So
Mm,
that bit was true.
yeah,
So
because
it
he
was quite
doesn't know
sad.
what Calidus is doing, like
Mm.
to help in the background. So yeah, it was when this happened, I was like, damn it, he's actually gonna die. So he tells Viz, please tell my dad why I was demoted. Viz is like, don't worry, babes, I've got you. Well, he doesn't say that, but he promises that he will tell. And Calidus dies in his arms. So Viz continues to carry Calidus, even though
Because
he's
he doesn't know.
died.
He's just talking to him. Yeah,
Mm,
he doesn't know at what point
he dies.
he realizes eventually, but he's talking to him. He's so
Mm.
emotional. That kind of just passes away in his arm whilst he's yeah. It was
I
very
remember
well written that
it was
part.
very, yeah, it was very sad because, and also I can
Mm,
imagine how it must have looked because remember Viz has
mm,
been stabbed in the stomach, so he's bleeding out of his stomach, and he's got that bite wound on his arm,
mm.
and he's got all these cuts on his arm, so he's probably bloodied and bruised and dirtied, and he's carrying this dead body as well. It's like bearing in mind they're teenagers. So Viz walks into the school grounds where Viridius is speaking
This
to a
was
crowd of
supposed to be
students.
a scavenger hunt. There was supposed to be no
For
violence.
real. They were supposed to. That's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure. That's what I said earlier. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure they said you can't hurt each other. I'm pretty sure that
yeah.
was something that was told to them. So he walks into the school grounds where Viridius is speaking to the crowd of students, and Viridius is explaining the attack. So you've got Amisa, Indo is still there, Ero, which I was quite shocked about because I was wondering where he was the whole time. Ero is there, and Equa
He's doing the
stand
Viridius
by his
is doing
side.
his political thing. So the whole time when Viridius and Viz engage, Viz is like, this guy's too charming. I don't want to like him. This guy's too charming, which is probably
Mm,
why you like him, because that's how Viz paints him.
mm,
Um, so he can see him but he's like, there's something weird with the way he acts. like
Mm,
it's not superficial. So Viridius is doing that, putting on this excuse, and you can see how he's explained Seaworld's death because he's already explaining everything, like he knows what happened, and it's like, no, no, no,
mm,
you should be
you
as
don't know,
concerned.
yeah.
Like
Mm.
your people,
Like
your
kids have
teachers are
died.
dead. Your
Yeah, kids
teachers,
have
the
died.
teachers are
Teachers
dead.
have died.
How are
No,
you
but
going to
kids
explain
have
the
died.
teachers? But
No,
no,
kids
that's
have
happened
died.
before. That's happened before. But the teachers dying, that's never happened
Yeah,
before.
true. Yeah, it's true. Like the bodies are just there. So yeah, so Viz walks up to Viridis whilst he's talking and he lays Calidus's body at his feet. And he does this like a quiet thing, like he's just like, you're talking about all of this madness,
Yeah,
but
you're not gonna
kids have
lie.
died.
Explain this. Yeah.
Yeah, like why is Calidus dead? So quietly, so that only Viridius and Amisa can hear, he vows revenge. I think in the book, you could tell that Amisa, like, she kind of like shrinks because she wasn't expecting him to come up. Because remember, she stabbed him. She thought he died. So he places the heart into the hands of the statue and collapses again. This guy, I'm telling you, the way he just collapses every day, collapsing every time.
Around enemies,
Yeah,
always.
every time when you need him to be on job, he continues to collapse. What happened to adrenaline? But anyways, Viz dreams of his father, and his father's telling him, "You need to keep fighting, babes. You need to keep going. Don't give up. It's a cold, cold world out there. You've got this." He
Sorry.
wakes.
That
Go on.
might be why we also get a very mature vibe because throughout the book, this is constantly giving us sayings that his father has schooled
Yeah,
him on how
yeah,
to be a man and all of this stuff and how
yeah.
he should move. And he's trying to honor that throughout the book. So
Mm,
that was also why he asked Patrique, like, am I doing okay? Would my father
mm.
be happy?
Because part of the king's job in Seuss was to preside over cases
Mm,
or things that have happened, and he would ask Viz to give his opinion of what he would have chosen. So he's been
mm.
involved in quite, deep things as he's grown up. So you're right, he is quite mature because of how he was raised by his dad. He wakes up in the infirmary to find Viridius sitting beside him, and he feels this weird sensation and he clocks on that his arm has been amputated. He says it's a weird thing because he still kind of feels that it's there, but obviously he can see that it's not there. So he's lost his arm, and
What's it
Viridius
called again? Phantom
explains
limbs.
while he's going through this weird sensation, Viridius explains that, your blood has now been tainted and that must be kept a secret. And I was just like, bro, what does that mean?
Because this
Poison?
is they did describe it
Poison?
as black, but his blood is black. That's why I was like,
Yeah,
why
but
didn't Equus? That's also probably why Equus was like, yeah, okay, dog bite my ass. Why is your blood black?
I was
Where
just
is the
like,
oxygen?
what does that mean?
Because
Um,
this was the scene where I was like, okay, I do like Viridius a little bit because he was compassionate in this scene. He's like, bro,
mm,
why did you do it, bro? Just because Okisco's what did
because
Okisco
Okisco's telling you to
yeah,
die.
what did he
Like,
tell you to do? Like, did he like do you know what you've done?
mm. So, Viridius asks, like, did you run the labyrinth and like did the writing on your arm help you escape? Because remember, you had one bit that said wait, then there was one that was like run. So he's just like, yeah. And at this point, Viz is like, look, I just can't hide shit anymore. And he basically confirms, yes, I did run the labyrinth, and yes, the writing on my arm did help me. And Viz tells Viridius
It's
about
not that
Benny's
he couldn't
death.
hide it. He was just like, you know what?
I don't care anymore.
Hiding it is stupid. My
I don't
arm
care
is
anymore.
missing. It's not
Mm.
that he didn't care. It's like hiding it is
I
stupid. My
don't think
arm
he
is
cared
missing.
anymore. I think he was fed up.
Mm,
I think he
okay.
was actually fed up with the whole situation. Because also, remember, Khaled has died. His friend has
Mm.
died because of
But
all of
he
this
blamed
madness.
Viridius.
Yeah,
I
but
don't think he was
also,
confiding in him then.
I don't think he did blame Viridius because he
He
knows that the
did. He's like,
Anguis
this
have
is
been
your fault.
involved.
But Viridius let them. They colluded with
Mm,
Viridius because that's why Viridius was already there trying to do the cover up. And he's like, no, 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 you're
mm,
not going to cover this up. Here's Calidus. Explain
true.
this.
True. Yeah, true. So Viz tells Viridius about Benny's death, and Viridius tries to explain that Amisa didn't really
Mm.
want to kill him, but she saw the wound on his arm and believed he was beyond saving. So, like we said earlier, that we go on.
He was accusing the belly thing as well. He's like, look, you killed Belly.
That
And
you
he was
did
like,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you sent her there. So finally, Viridius says that a senator is going to, he gets really like rushed. He's like, all right, look, a senator is about to arrive to hear what you want to do, like your requested position. And this is where we find out that Viz actually won the whole thing, and he's a Domitor. I hate saying the word, sounds strange. A Demeter? Domitor. Viridius urgently insists that pledge yourself to religion, request a position as imperator under a senator named, he tells him everything,
So that
Tertius
he can protect him from
Pilius.
Okisco, because he's like,
Yeah.
Okisco doesn't care about you. Look what you've
Yeah, he's
sent
like,
me
oh,
to.
Kisco's back. He's gonna kill you. So let me help you. And he's like, don't worry about it. I'll explain to you later. So a bunch of senators walk in and start asking Viz like, what is it that you want? What position do you want? And he takes a moment. Viz thinks about it because he's just like, I'm not about to follow Viridius. I don't trust you because, like Lola says, he's like, you were involved. But he suddenly has this vision because at this point he could have been like, I want to go to what's that place called Jarate? He's like, I want to go there because
Chittim.
that's what
And he
his
does think about it. He's like,
yeah,
okay,
because
this
that's
is
what he
my
wanted to
chance.
do. That's actually what he wanted to
I've
do in the
done what
beginning.
Okisco wants. He wouldn't mind if he's not going to chase him and none of that.
Like
Yeah.
probably the only people that might be a problem might be Reliquia, but we can deal with
Mm.
that at another point. But at this point, he's just like, do you know what? No, I don't want to run away. I don't want to do that. I'm going to stay and fight
And this is
because
what I'm
he's thinking
saying. I
about
think the
what his dad said.
Fadrike, yeah, when he had that
Let's
conversation
think
with
about his
Fadrike,
dad.
like, what does it mean to be a traitor? And how Fadrike was like, no, I needed to fight to protect people from the inside. That's what I think he
Mm.
said.
So he decides that he's going to stay and fight. So he decides, do you know what? I don't want to be in religion or military. I'm going to governance. So he decides to take, and remember when Lola says it's ironic considering the whole belly thing, where he said when he was doing the foundation game and he pledged that he was going to go to governance. He's now going to be in governance. He's going to work
But it makes
for the
sense.
censor.
If
Yeah, it does
you,
make sense. It does make sense because
the
this is the
whole
place where
way,
all the information is.
and the whole way he's set up is he observes people, he looks at things, he's very strategic. Yeah, he has strength, but the way that he's always the David in a David and Goliath situation.
Mm.
So the way his intelligence is more the fact that he uses logic
But
and yeah,
And but to be fair, it's not even like not to discredit that, but it's not even just about that. It's this is where all the information is,
yeah. That's what
and
I'm getting to. That's what I'm getting to.
yeah,
So
yeah,
he needs that to be able to observe. You need something to
you
observe,
need
and
information, yeah,
Calidus was able to crack so much of, and
mm,
this is all stuff that his dad had predicted. Like it
yeah,
was literally playing out as how his dad had predicted it.
yeah,
And when he had these interviews with the butler, there's a part of this education system which is about your political beliefs and where you think things should go, and even just people keep probing him for his thoughts, which is another reason why you forget their kids because they have a
mm,
lot of political discussions. So he's like, Calidus has a lot more um
information,
information than even Equa does or
mm,
Amisa. So he's like,
mm,
no, it's because of he has access to data that a lot of people like. Okay, governance are fighting, but it's mainly religion and military. So governance are
yeah,
doing a lot of covering up for either side, depending on whose sides they are in governance. So
mm,
it's like I can get the macro view if I go to governance. Because initially I was like, uh, but I was like, no, it actually makes the most sense for his character and the way. Because if
mm,
he went to military and he tried to, he's not really a brute guy. And then religion, they're too slimy and no one trusts them anyway. So yeah, the
mm.
governance is actually the best suited place for
I
the way he moves.
I also thought because you've got Viridius saying he should go to religion, you've got Olkisco saying
Mm.
he should go to well not he doesn't
Okisco
actually
didn't
care
care
what
where he, yeah.
yeah, Olkisco
But
doesn't care, but that
Okisco's
will mean
there.
that he's gonna be where Olkisco
Where
is.
Okisco.
And he's just like, I don't want anything to deal with
Mm.
any of you guys. Because if he goes to military, he would be expected to stay under Olkisco, who's his adopted father.
Yeah.
So
And
it
then
didn't
just
make sense to be
breaking the
there.
fourth wall. We've learned a lot about religion. We've learned a lot about military. And like I just
Mm,
said, in this civil war, there's three parties. So it's like, what is
mm,
governance's stance? So I was like, okay, for the next book, we're going to learn governance's secrets. So that's
yeah,
what,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
another
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely, because we're gonna definitely learn more about Calidus,
Because yeah,
and his
Calidus
father.
touched on all the stuff that the secrets that because his dad is a dodgy guy. So it's
Mm.
like that's
And
why
he's
what
also not
Calidus,
liked by people.
yeah.
He's not liked, yeah. So
So
it's interesting.
there are some stuff that was revealed, but yeah.
Mm. So, like we said, he requests a position working for the censor, and he wants to work under Calidus's father. And the other thing about this, which I found was quite interesting, is he is only taking Calidus's word for the fact that his dad is in charge of information. But we don't actually know what Candice's dad's job is, really. Nobody else has said that.
No, no, no. I think that that kind of stuff, you have to know who's who and who's what in that kind of
I would
environment,
hope
isn't
so.
it? Society.
I would
So
hope
I do
so.
think that's fine. What I thought was another thing, another reason why he did that, it was optics. Calidus died. It wouldn't look
Yeah,
so mad for him to be
for
like,
him
look,
to
I
do
need,
that.
yeah, I'm doing this to
Yeah,
honor. He lost a son.
yeah.
I'm doing this to honor his,
And
yeah,
just pick
that
some
was my
random
best
person
friend.
in governance. Yeah, 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 you're
Mm.
right. It actually looks good. All right. So Viz promises to listen to what Viridius has to say, but he's like, I ain't doing it
You
now. I,
guys
I
think we're
need a
at the end of
moment.
the book? We're wrapping up. We're not even. There's another twist coming, guys.
Bro, well, the epilogue, boy. So, I will listen to what you have to say, but I have no intention of working undercover for you. I don't want to work undercover for anybody. So he's finally alone in the infirmary and he notices a toy ship sitting by his bed and he recognizes it as one that he carved as a child for his dad. And carved into one side is the name Diago. And that is the end of the main book. So, moving on to the epilogue. And usually with an epilogue, you know, where you're just like, okay, yeah, it's an
I just
epilogue,
want to get a little bit
whatever.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, but the way they started a whole other story, I was like, what the hell? What the hell is going on? So we get to the epilogue, which is called Synchronism, colon, ex uno plures. So Viz wakes in the labyrinth chamber and he's surrounded by the bronze blades and the red light. And do you remember back before we talked about he was in the labyrinth chamber, he goes into this bronze thing, the blades, the light, and then good old Viz does what he does best and collapses. Do you remember that? Okay, coming back to where we are now. So he looks on his arm and words are cut into his arm which spell out wait and then RU. There's no N. Viz runs back to the labyrinth where words in the wall read like sealed against the tools of the enemy after the rending. The passage to Lucium requires a toll to ensure validity. So pain starts to flare in his left shoulder and he reaches out to find that his left arm is gone. I just want to double check which arm got cut off, Lola. Think what arm gets cut off? Is it his
Hold
left
on.
arm?
Hold on. Can someone please explain things? This is
Which arm got cut off in
hold on. Which
the main
one?
book?
I thought it was the same one with the writing on it.
That's what I'm trying to figure out which arm he loses, like whether that's the thing. Because I've
I
seen left
thought
arm and I'm like, does it
I thought it
matter?
was
Because
left. Yeah, but maybe left. There, no, no, no.
oh,
That's the bite. That's the bite. That's the bite. But that would make sense if it's the one with the yeah. His left arm was amputated to stop him
okay,
spreading
perfect,
rot.
thank you. Okay, so he reaches out to find that his left arm is gone, and then he is suddenly standing in a rotunda. There's snow around him and mountains in the distance. Then you have two men and a woman approach him, saying, "Traveler, stay with us. The other from your world will be coming." So Viz awakes again in the chamber, surrounded by bronze blades and red light. And then a man welcomes him to the Obitium and asks if Iridius sent him. And he's just like, "Sorry, what are you talking about? Who are you?" And he looks at him. He's just like, he looks familiar. And the guy introduces himself as Sea Raw and says they only have 2 minutes to save you back in res. He explained that Viz has been copied. He pulls out a knife and reaches for Viz's arm. He's like, you need to give me your arm quick. And I'm like, what's happening? Why is Sea Raw alive? What's
Literally.
happening?
And when he turns up, this guy he's like, oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
give me your arm.
yeah. Like,
And
he's
this guy's like, what?
so,
He's like, no, 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 no. Come on, give me your arm, son. Come on, we gotta chop this off.
you know,
He's
and
so
because
carefree and he seems happy. That's the
mm,
problem as well. We're coming
mm.
to rescue this guy, and he seems like he does not need rescuing.
Because he says to him, he's just like, rotten hells, it's you. Your brother thinks you're dead. And he's just like, you know,
Why
oh,
is he
he's
posh in English?
because of the way it's in
The
the
audio.
audio.
Oh, okay,
He's
that's
like,
internal voice.
you know, Okisco, is he well? He says, is he well? And then he says, you've been copied, I suppose. The same way the world was thousands of years ago in the war against the concurrents is how you got here. Came as a surprise to me too, but it's not important right now. You're still strongly connected back to Res and Lucium, but that's going to fade fast. I can explain
No,
more
he's in
later,
Nikium, isn't he?
but
I thought
only if
that was
you're
the.
not. I'm
Oh
reading the
yeah, no.
book,
Oh, sorry.
okay? Don't fight with me, okay? But only if you're not dead. And my guy's just like,
Oh,
okay.
that one doesn't lose his arm then.
Hmm?
the one in Lucium loses his arm, and the main one loses his arm.
Because remember, he
But
does that
Obitium
thing.
doesn't lose his arm.
Yeah, there's three places. You
This,
got
sorry.
Lyceum, Res, and Obitium. So the one he's talking to now, when Seron meets him, he's got his arms, basically.
Mm.
So there's three. It appears that there are three Vizzes.
So he kept seeing this Res, Lucium, and Obitium in bits. We kept seeing that in bits, and then we finally see it. So we realized that there's a parallel universe. Because I think we saw one Obitium first, and then we saw Lucium. We saw them bit by bit. So yeah, this is the carvings that were always on the walls and stuff like that. So this is the languages, and this is the foreign stuff that he couldn't read and understand. So it was hinted at throughout the whole book with all the double lives and the double people having two names, and literally nearly everyone had two names and secret identities and secret lives. But yeah, this is a whole different thing. We're actually parallel universes.
We're moving on, boy. And for people that are confused, the real Viz is in the world with Zero in Res. So the copies are in Obitium and Lucium.
No.
That's something.
That one is the one.
No, he's a cop. That's why he said you've been copied.
That's why
the real one is
I was
with
really
Zero.
confused. Yeah, you've been copied, but you're here. So the one where he turned back, that's why I've just Googled. I put in the chat. So the real one is in Res. Yeah, that's the main Viz.
With Zero.
No, he's the one that has his arm amputated. He says, okay. Welcome to...
What do you mean, save me? He says, what do you mean, save me back in Res?
See?
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, welcome to Obitium. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry. So the real one is in... So the real one is in Res. Yeah. The real one's in Res.
And she's like, I'm reading.
I didn't say it there.
You were. When I was trying to tell you, it's not in Lucium, it's Obitium. You're like, I'm reading it.
So my name is Zero. I don't know how much you know, but we have about 2 minutes to save you back in Res. So you need to trust me and come out of there now. Gosh.
And this is why he kept knowing what was going to happen.
So he had those weird feelings, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the carving on the arm was to save.
Do you think one of his people was messaging on his arm like, wait?
No, that was him. That was him. That was Zero writing on his arm.
To say to do these things.
That's why I was like, we need to save you back in Res. That's why. So he's like, oh, wait, run. So I think there's a time delay as well. So Res is the one in where he goes back to Very end. He's in the hospital, gets his arm amputated. The one where it says wait and run, that's what got amputated off to save the rock, because he got bitten on that same arm, I'm guessing. But everything was just happening to that same arm. So then and then the Lucium one, we don't really know too much about. That's where he goes and it's like a icy realm.
An icy place with the man and the woman.
Yeah. And so we just see that one. And this copy also doesn't have an arm to gain entry, but he actively puts his hand in something and it chops it off, if I remember correctly.
Yep. He sacrifices his arm for this magical entry. Yeah.
And then Obitium is the one that we're with. No. Yeah, this is the one that's with Zero.
Where we meet Zero.
Where we meet Zero. And this is how he's able to, when he's running through the woods and stuff, he runs away from danger as well, but he didn't know why he was doing it.
Yeah, because it's just only because he saw the thing on his hand that said, and I guess because when we get to the beginning of this this epilogue, he's on one arm it says wait, and then you have RU, which I think
it doesn't even get to the end.
Zero was just like, I need to finish, which is I think to save. That's what he meant, like we need to save you back in Res or whatever.
Yes, because he was mid writing. Yeah.
So he's just like, give me back your arm, bro. I need to finish saying what I'm writing. Let me finish carving into your body.
Because this guy is so carefree. Like, he's like, oh yeah, this happens all the time. So I'm guessing some do get through, like that guy that was telling him, oh, you're gonna have to sacrifice something. So yeah,
now that we've talked about it, I'm like, oh, maybe we should read it, but I'm like, no.
And I think Zero's other copy is dead. I think the only one that is this copy in Obitium. So that's why Viridius isn't. So her nickname has stuck on me.
I'm sorry guys.
But that's why Viridius is he's kind of not in the wrong, because if Zero did willingly know what they're doing. Maybe all three of them ran that thing. Maybe even Veridius was like, I'm not running.
Mm,
You people are crazy. And Lannistia and
mm,
Zero was like, oh yeah, we'll try it. We're young and dumb. So they actually ran it. Zero stuck on the other side. Lannistia
mm.
had to sacrifice her. Well, I don't think she
Uh,
had to sacrifice her eyes because she's one of them people. That's the only other thing.
yeah, we don't know what's going on with Lannister. I think we're
Because
gonna
he told
get
her
to
that,
know
look,
about her.
they looked like you. She didn't even know. Because that was a bit, that's when we learned what they look like. Because I was wondering why it was so sketchy on the description, but it was because that bit was hinting at Lannister should be one of those people stuck in the entrance of the tomb, which is a
Yeah,
bit weird.
I just randomly opened the book, the second book, just to see like if I see some
What do
names
you
that I
see?
know. I see people called Tara, somebody
Oh,
called
okay.
Neticrot.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Oh,
you know, where
gosh.
you're just like,
Well, we're all in a whole
that's
new governance. We're
a
not in the
whole new
academy
book.
no more.
Although I don't like this book because they
Mm,
right to the edge, and it seems I feel
mm.
like it's too
I
big.
don't like the spacing. Yeah,
It's
I didn't like this.
unnecessarily big.
I actually preferred the other one, even though it was too
Same.
condensed. Yeah.
It's almost like he heard somebody said to him, it's like, oh, it's a bit too tiny. He's like, do you know what? I got you. And he did this. But yeah.
That's what like you could kill someone with this thing.
And it's huge, huge book. When I like when it came through, like I showed it to Kaz, and Kaz was like, wow. Like
Yeah.
you reading that? I was like, yeah, I guess so.
Mine was a Secret
But
Santa
yeah.
work gift and it was very well decorated, very
Oh,
impressive
that's
when it
cool.
came through. Yeah. I'll
Oh,
send
that's
you a
so
picture.
cool.
And she did it herself as well. Little cutie.
Oh, that's adorable. But yeah, so yeah, guys, that is the end of the book. I hope you guys enjoyed the book because it's yeah,
A
like
whirlwind.
we both enjoyed it. It was really interesting. I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on putting it on the your top? Is it a book of the year for you?
Yeah. To be
Mm,
honest, like I can see going through it that it's not as flawless as my first impression. But when I first read it, I said, "Whoa!" Number
mm.
one, it had a very good impact. I think it was yeah. I don't
Quite
know.
liked the ramp up. Do you know what? I quite liked part one and three. Part two wasn't bad. Part two wasn't bad. It was the
mm,
building up to it.
you're
But
right.
one and three, I liked those two parts better because part one got me into it, and then when I started reading part two, I think I slowed down quite a bit. Just because I don't.
Same.
It was yeah, and then part three, I was just like,
Yeah,
what's
I'm not putting
going
it down.
on?
Yeah. Yeah. I could
So,
put it down a bit during part two, but part three
mm,
I was not putting that down.
so yeah, I really enjoyed the book. I would definitely give it I think I give it like a 4.5 or 4.75 on story graph, is that what it's called? But yeah, it's definitely because you know me, I don't give fives to anything, but I really enjoyed the book. I could see it becoming some sort of adaptation. I think it would be good to be adapted.
I like a
Um,
movie
but
rather
yeah,
than a TV
yeah,
series.
definitely. I would hate it to be a TV series because they'll just drag it
Mm.
out. Because I don't think it needs to
Unnecessarily.
be. I don't
And the
think it needs to
selling
be
point
dragged
of
out.
this book is how the twists happen. So if
Mm,
you drag it out, it'll ruin it.
exactly. You need to just watch it. It just needs to be in one, two, three hierarchy
Mm.
series. Yeah. But yeah, guys. So we are gonna go on to we didn't
Read
know
receipts.
read receipts. Alrighty. So I'm doing the 1 star review. So this is by Monty Price, and he reviewed this 12th of August 2023. And he says, anytime there is consensus among people I follow who don't always enjoy the same fantasy, the part of me that enjoys fucking around is tempted to pick up the book. This was no exception. It didn't hurt that this was the book my patrons voted for me to read for a vlog. So in that sense, there was a little bit of external pressure for me to pick it up. Going into this, I'd heard it compared to a lot of other books already available. The one that comes to mind is Red Rising Saga, um, Blood Trials, an arcane history. They've done some weird HTML text in it, so it's difficult to read. If it had just been the first two, I might have kept on with my life because I have found both of them lacking. But the idea of another fantasy school book, but with a person masquerading as someone they aren't in order to bring down the empire, that I could actually get behind. Y'all, I should have just kept on with my life. Back in the day, comp title Red Rising would get shelved in the young adult section at Barnes& and Noble. I have a feeling this is mostly due to the fact that dystopian fiction was in the death rattle, but shelving them together felt appropriate to the powers that be. Here we have a case that The Will of the Many is a solidly a piece of young adult fiction masquerading as an adult work and an adult print imprint so that the Saga Press can justify charging you 30 US dollars. Here we are following Viz, a boy we meet at the start of the book, ostensibly an orphan working at what is essentially a prison. We follow him as an upper ranked individual visits said prison unexpectedly, overhears something that maybe he shouldn't have, and then follow him to the underground fight club that he participates in to earn money that he won't have to fork over to the woman who runs the orphanage he's currently still residing in. The next 30% of the book follows our orphan boy as we learn about his actual past, the reason why the unexpected visitor chooses to adopt him, and then train him for the elite school so that the plot of overthrowing the empire that exists on every corner of the landmass of this world can be set in motion. Only when we finally arrive at the school, there's nothing elite about it. There is some throwaway discussions about fairness and how the students at this academy are all the children of senators or other high-ranking officials within the empire. Murmurs of factions already grating against one another now that the military has nowhere left to conquer. But the way that Viz just propels through the academy, never hitting a roadblock that Islington won't conveniently shift out of his way, was just not fun to read. Not only is there really no sense of struggle, there's no sense of growth or reason why this book needed to be set at a school or us to be following a child. That's to say, nothing of Viz, who is truly the worst actor, we are meant to believe that he is invested in this charade that he's been running since he left his old life behind. A life that would definitely make him a wanted man by the Empire and really the only reason he is adopted in the first place. But every opportunity he has to reveal who he really is and expose himself, he does. To the point that at the Academy, a character I'm meant to believe is his friend is constantly telling him that they've clocked Viz isn't who he says he is, and that he's only a matter of time until the others do as well. You'd think that would be used to remind Viz the stakes of what he's doing and that he'd be more careful. But as the story enters the third act, he just becomes more and more reckless. The building in this one is definitely a mess. You'd think that an author would use the school setting as something of a crutch to guide the reader through history or how the magic is used in the world. But here it was mostly used for us to see how smart Viz was compared to his classmates that he was always calling stupid. What we did get of the world always felt like a wink and a nudge that was reminding the reader how invested Islington was in creating his version of a fantasy Roman Empire. At the end of the day, it never felt like a place that existed physically, like it stood on any firm ground, or that the people of the book read as people from various parts of the world that had been conquered and united by the Empire in the book. There were moments that I enjoyed. There was an exchange between Viz and a character he got off on the wrong foot with, that he was eventually paired up with in a classic young adult trope kind of way, but he was also the only relationship in the book that felt genuine and like care had gone into. So the book isn't entirely terrible, but I still wouldn't recommend. It's part of a series, and so maybe once there is more to contextualize this first book with later installments, it'll be worth someone's time. But as of now, it's definitely not anything you need to rush out and pick up. 168 likes. I didn't get the comments for that. So yeah. Thoughts?
Yeah. Obviously, I don't agree.
Have you read Red Rising? Because a lot of people did
No.
comment on that in some of the bad reviews for this. They were just like, oh, another Red Rising. And by the way, there weren't a lot of low ratings for this book on Goodreads in comparison to the high ratings. But when I did see some bad ones, they did comment on Red Rising. But yeah, I don't particularly agree. I do feel a bit about the world building, and another thing that he made a point about in regards to the school and how elite the school is. I was just like, when you say it like that, it is interesting how they are treated in the school. But you need to remember that this is under religion, which and they're separated. They're supposed to be taught how the world really is. So yeah, it was an interesting perspective. There was something that was a bit like, I don't know why he gave it one star. But yeah,
Mm.
going on to your 5 star long review.
So Nick did this review 23rd of May 2023, and it's 5 star. So I am such a sucker for stories that involve an ancient cataclysm mystery. I mean, I love it so much and want that kind of plot injected directly into my brain. That is just one of the many intriguing storylines that acclaimed fantasy author James Islington has weaved into his latest upcoming novel, The Will of the Many. Not only that, Islington has also managed to create one of the more emotional journeys of any main character that I've come across. Coming off of the brilliant Licanius trilogy, which I have, I wasn't sure just what to expect from this one. Would it still give me that same magical feeling that I got when I read that series? Well, all I'll say is Islington has proven that he has some of the best ideas and writing chops in the game after finishing this utterly spellbinding first book in the Hierarchy series. It shouldn't have been as effortless as it was for me to fly through this almost 700-page book, but it was. And that's just a testament to the magnificent storyteller that James Islington is. Part of the excellence of this book stems from just how many layers of mystery are involved. Just when one might look like it's solved, another pops up and often takes the story in a wholly unexpected direction. The hierarchy is portrayed as yet another group of megalomaniacs who, after conquering a weaker kingdom, now rule with absolute and unquestioned authority. They're also ruled by way of a super cool magic system that enables them to gain power by sucking the will from those they capture and imprison. It kind of reminds me of the magic system in David Farland's Rune Lord series, but with a slightly different and unique twist. Those with the most will princeps are ranked highest in the Catalan ruling class, followed by Demidus Tertius Quartus. Well, you get the picture. It's by this transfer of will that the hierarchy is able to remain in power and maintain their seemingly invincible strangleholds. What can you just say? Stronghold. And yet, main character Viz believes all is not lost, and that by infiltration into the famed Catalan Academy, he doesn't believe that, he might be able to uncover vital information that could reveal potential vulnerabilities in the hierarchy's armor. This is where the book really had me in its grip, as this happens upon so many instances of near capture death and being exposed as an agent of the resistance. I wasn't sure whether he was going to even survive past half the first book, half of this book, to be completely honest. Is this a fool's errand, or can one person really hope to overturn and reverse the forces of tyranny that have taken over a battered and beaten homeland? Wow, what an extraordinary read this was. I can't get over how many twists and turns this book took and how completely off balance I was for the vast majority of it. The thing that I liked the best was not knowing who in the story was truly trying to help Viz and who was just being friendly only to bide their time until they could thrust a short blade in his back. There's so much deception
or his
involved.
stomach.
And it's the exact type of fantasy book that I love to read. And while Islington reveals small pieces of the larger picture, he tantalizingly leaves so much still hidden and open for conjecture for the story that is still to come. The Will of the Many is a stunning achievement for one of the most talented epic fantasy writers in the game right now. To me, the opening of book in Oh wow. To me, this opening book in Islington's brand new series has further shown that he has the staying power to continue to create breathtaking new worlds, brilliantly realized magic systems, and characters who can both root for and despise. Simply a wonderful book that made me all the more desperate to have the next one in my hand. It's the kind of story that stays with you long after completion and makes you hunger for more. I still have so many questions and cannot wait to continue on with this series. Highly recommend for anyone who enjoys a masterfully told tale with all the elements that constitute a highly compulsive read. Oh, that was a long one.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. We did it. We did it.
But yeah, a lot of people are talking about the Licanius trilogy and wondering if they should read it. That also has very good reviews, and to be honest, and a lot of people reference it that they were worried about this book because that series was so good. So,
okay.
Maybe
I'll look into it.
I bought the series because it was on offer, and I was looking at when the Strength of the Few will come out.
The
Licanius.
Okay.
I've got it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was gonna read that before, and then when the paperback, because I bought the paperback of the first one, so I wanted to get the paperback of the second one. But then I was like, you know what? I don't care. I kind of want to know what happens. So I just bought the hardback of the second one. And actually, I love hardback, but it's just I bought the paperback of the first one, so I wanted to have it complete. But it's fine. It's fun. We just did a whole pick and mix about me not being bossy. So it's fine. But yeah, I'm excited to read the first one because I bought the first trilogy as a filler, but now I'm actually excited to read if people are like, oh my gosh, this is his actual masterpiece.
I think it was good. It's a good book. It is a good book. I do have some thoughts about the description work, but other than that, I enjoyed the book. It did make me want to read the next one.
Yeah, definitely. Normally we don't really like cliffhangers. We spoke about endings, but I thought that ending wasn't bad. I thought that was a good ending. Also, reading the first trilogy will give me an idea of what we have to come, like how he breaks stories up, isn't it? So that's what,
That's
yeah.
true because you can see like if he's somebody that's gonna keep giving us these silly cliffhangers and switching up the story.
Because once the second book ends, we don't have the and we'll probably wait
Yeah,
on at least 2 years.
he's
So,
switched up, boy.
well, he wrote that book 25, so at least we have one more year maybe for the third book.
It's mad. It's too long. It's too long.
Yeah,
Because
I
I'm
might
worried
delay
about
reading the
his.
second one.
Yeah, I'm worried about the way he's gonna end the second book. That's gonna stress me out.
Mm,
Because if he ends it the
mm-hmm.
way he ended this first book, where we're
We're
now talking about
finished.
the fact that there's three Vizes in Lycium, Obitium, and Res, one and two of them don't have arms. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
And Zero is alive. Oh, Kisco, your
Zero.
brother is alive.
This was a fool's errand for sure. We're not finding out the death of Zero. He's happy.
Oh my
Stuck somewhere,
days.
but he's happy.
He's happy. He seems fine. He seems
Seems
okay.
he's asking if well, Kisco's okay.
And it, he's like, how's Kisco?
Yeah,
But
that
yeah.
review, I didn't really agree with some of the bits. I think he missed some of the main points, but I agreed
Mm,
with his ending.
mm.
Yeah, I think it was really well done, and
Do you know
because I
what
don't,
it is? It's a fun book.
mm, it is.
It is a
Because
fun
I don't
book.
think
It's
it
a
was
bit like, oh
innovative ideas, but it was
no,
definitely
no, it's
brilliantly.
not.
It was a stunning achievement. It was well done and it was talented. Because normally there will be bits in a book that in a fantasy book that you're like, all right, come on, let's just get through this. Or but I enjoyed every stage of the book, really. Even though
Mm,
we said there was a little dip in part two, it wasn't like I
mm.
did enjoy part
You didn't
two.
hate it, yeah.
Yeah, so I enjoyed every bit of the book. No character is really annoying. Like there's if the character's annoying, it's for even Amisa. I've been
Bro,
insulting her, but she wasn't annoying.
even Belly wasn't annoying. I could see
Even
why
yeah,
she was the way she
even Belly
was.
wasn't annoying. Yeah,
That's true.
exactly. So like a lot of the book, like it's like do if you're gonna do something, do it perfectly done. And I think this book was well done, which is why I gave it a 5. I'm trying to be more open about my 5. So it's I could see why I could have given it a 4.5. I could
Hmm.
have, but I'm gonna give it a 5 because the impacts alone. After I finished that book, I was like humming and hawing. I was like, nah, this is ridiculous. I need the second book now. Because that
Mm.
ending and then the whole thing with parallel universes, and then when you think about it, when you start refreshing the book and little bits in the background, it's like he was hinting at it the whole time. It didn't come out of left field.
Mm. Mm.
So, 'cause, like,
Mm.
so yeah, it was really interesting. So yeah, and then yeah, just want to know where it's gonna go. So
Yeah, basically.
that is well done. I don't know.
Mm.
It was I can see the hype when you finish it. You're like, okay, because it has a very high rating on Goodreads. It's like it's well deserved.
Because even if we didn't get the epilogue, I would still want to know what's going to happen next.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
even
maddest
without
part.
the epilogue,
Yeah, you're still like
because
rah,
yeah,
rah,
because it was
like
that
because
was
it
even a good
wrapped up.
ending in itself.
Mm.
That was a good ending in itself. So yeah, I think yeah, you're right. It's a really good book. I really enjoyed it. So we hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys enjoyed our retelling of the book. If you haven't read it or you're not a reader, then I hope that we did it justice. But
Mm.
yeah, so I think that's it for today's episode. Yeah, we finished The Will of the Many. Our next book that we're going to be going on to is What Lola?
The Names by Florence Knapp, which is a debut. It's her debut book, I believe,
Oh, is it?
and it was yeah
Oh,
quite good. I
interesting.
think for a debut.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so we're going to be doing that book next. So that will be episode 8. And we're saying it now. We think it will be Lola saying, because she's read it first, because you know Lola usually reads the book first. But Lola saying we think it might be a 1 episode, but we'll see. Because we
Mhm.
always say this and we start chatting.
We could split it into 3 as well, but it's a short book. We
Three,
don't need it. It
really?
doesn't need to be because we could split into there is. It's actually quite similar to the ending of this book with the
Oh,
3
Lord. Do you think there's
versions.
going to be another book in this? Is there like a next book coming, do you think?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think literally it was her debut book. That was it. I doubt
Okay.
she'll pick this back up. Yeah,
Oh. But you mean as in like there's three
it's quite
parts?
dark and deep and heavy. I was glad it was a short book.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
That's good. Perfect. Cool. So we'll do that. That'll be our next book. And we
yeah,
hope you stay around for the ride. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for being with us. We are on, oh gosh, we've done so many episodes so far and we are still enjoying it. So we thank you for getting on
yeah.
whilst we just chat and chat and chat about books that we're reading and keeping me accountable. So we I was gonna say something that came out from another podcast, like we hope you keep it. No, that's plagiarism. So so we need you guys to share, like, subscribe, follow, do all the good things, you know where we are. And remember, if you don't, who's gonna cuss you? Lola gonna cuss you. Who gonna cuss you? Lola gonna cuss you. Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, but thank you guys. Lola, say goodbye. Stop looking at me like that. Say goodbye to the peoples.
Bye.
See you, those people. Bye.